Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special new miniseries here on twitch.tv/D&D, Eberron, Gateway to Perdition. You're probably going to recognize some of these nerds from this time slot. And thank you, TK, for starting us off with your giggling. That was very nice. So folks who didn't get to watch the pre-show, which is say everybody who isn't us, before we go live, I let everybody know. I'm like, okay, everyone, are we ready to play? Everybody gave me a smile and a thumbs up. And TK looked at me like they were going to kill me for interrupting them. And
How dare you interrupt me to remind me to do the job that you guys pay me for?
That's right. The thing that we're here to do. How dare I interrupt you? It's perfect. It's good. It's good energy.
Not like it was for something good. It was about Guardians of the Galaxy, like hot takes.
Katie
You know, it's fine. It's fair. So you'll probably recognize if you've visited us for Jace Bellerin Must Die, you will recognize my friends Katie May, TK, and Masood.
Especially me.
That's right. So in chat, as soon as we started in chat, Ogmilder said, "Weird, Carlos looks different." So yes, good observation. Carlos is, I think, like getting married or having his appendix removed or something. I don't know. Some important
They're
life event.
basically the same.
Yeah. Some important life event. And so I am very excited and very happy to get the opportunity to play with William again. William, we've played together before. We did a one shot for Roll20.
Oh, so many times.
And yeah, exactly. We played role-playing games once. We're basically best friends now. Yeah. So I am very happy that we have the opportunity to play again together. Why don't I put you on the spot and let you introduce yourself to the cast and the audience?
Yeah, I suppose that sounds fun.
Okay.
Well, I'm William, they, them, and I've been doing like a lot of tabletop stuff with Q Times for the past about year and a half or so. If you don't know who they are, they're an LA based like tabletop production like company and stuff. They do a lot of streaming. They have a YouTube channel and whatever. I helped behind the scenes with that for a while, and then I'm predominantly a performer. So then when like we were actually starting to do shows that I could be on, I was like, hey, can I do that? And they were very helpful and gracious in getting me a show that I GM myself. It's using the Kids on Bike system. And also I am on like a Monster of the Week show that's pretty continuous and that kind of thing. And I do a bunch of stuff here and there. And the last thing you had me on was for Pathfinder.
That's right.
Second edition. And then outside of that, I'm in a band called Glass Beach, and we just signed for Run for Cover Records. So if this means anything to anyone, that's
well. What's great is that because you are here and Carlos is not, your mentioning of your band and talking about record labels will not now eat up the next hour and a half of the show. Because if Carlos were here, no one else would get a word in edgewise. Just the two of you could just talk about that forever. So. I'm excited for you. That's very cool. Do you, if somebody wants to go and listen to your sick band, where can they do that?
We are on all streaming platforms. We're on iTunes and Spotify. Okay, actually, we might not be on Tidal.
Okay.
I don't have a subscription to Tidal, so I wouldn't know. But you can find us on Spotify, iTunes. If there are other ones, we are on them. Because we went through like DistroKid, which like if you put your stuff on there, it pretty much just puts it everywhere else.
Oh, cool.
And now Run for Cover just like manages all that stuff for us, and they're a label and make sure we get everywhere.
They do label stuff.
So they do label things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have people ask me sometimes about Dungeon World, and they're like, well, why do you need a publisher? Can't you just like do all that stuff yourself and like keep the money? And I'm like, yeah, I guess I could theoretically, but I would rather someone else handle all that boring crap for me. Mm-hmm. The band's name is Glass Beach, and I have a car drive to make later today, and I just added it. I'm gonna listen to this album. I'm downloading.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
We're all taking out our phones. Every audience at home, that's a great time to pull up Spotify on
That's
your
right.
iPhone.
It's play along at home, the home game,
and/or Android device. Katie May.
Follow
on your iPhone.
Follow everyone, and then follow all of the cool stuff that they do. Well, on the off chance that the audience has not been here for the rambunctious fun that is Jace Bellerin Must Die, let's get reintroduced. I'm going to allow you to reintroduce yourself. Let's start with Katie, because Katie May was making the best face. Go. Who are you?
Wow.
What is your deal, Katie May?
My deal. I'm Katie May. You have not seen me on the internet, but you've probably heard me DMing Dungeons, Dice, and Everything Nice, a D&D 5e podcast that you can find on any podcast app that you so choose. I do it here in Chicago with a few other all women identifying comedians. It's a real good time. Boom, in and out real quick.
Nice,
Very
you did it.
professional.
I have to say I'm thankful for having William here in addition to all of the other reasons, because they are in the Pacific time zone and this is no longer Chicago runs slipshod all over the rest of us while TK and I have to just watch. So that's cool.
We'll still talk about Chicago. We can do it.
Oh, just you wait.
This
Wait.
happens sometimes during the pre-show where we'll be talking about something and then everyone in the cast who is from Chicago will start talking about like a random intersection. And I'm just like, yes, we have streets in Canada as well.
That's usually when I get through like the latest level of whatever phone game I'm playing. I'm just like, oh.
Our content, our Chicago content is approachable.
It's
You don't have to-
relatable.
I feel like if I
relatable.
lived in Chicago, it would be very valuable to me. I would know. I would be a much cooler Chicagoan.
Maybe all of our content's also like NBC Chicago content. Like it's unrelatable to Chicagoans though, in actuality, but it's great for everybody else.
So good for everyone else.
Everybody loves Chicago PD, fire, MD, law.
Eventually I would like to be able to produce a show that's like one of those 90s like sketch comedy shows that they do jokes about a very specific location. And if you're not from there, it doesn't make any sense. Like Almost Live. They just made jokes about like the Puget Sound and you're like, ha, Seattle. Like, I don't know the joke. It's not actually funny. It's fine. Well, we'll keep the Chicago energy going. Masood,
Oh, shoot.
who are you? What is your deal?
Hey, I'm Masood. I'm a comedian from Chicago. I do stuff all over the city. Most notably, been doing a lot of things through Second City and Annoyance and the IO Theater. But you can find me online. I'm a rude boy. And on Twitter, which I created for Jace Beller and Must Die. And guys, you know what's crazy? 236 followers, 0 following. I'm still it's growing the way it needs to grow. So it's really nice.
Yeah, fair and reasonable. How is your accordion going?
It's going well. Thank you for bringing it up. I'm also an amateur accordionist. This is important information for everyone to know.
I'm really happy it's become part of your identity now. It's not just like I'm learning to play the accordion. I am an amateur accordionist.
Oh, for sure. And eventually amateur will be removed. Once I truly, someone broke it down for me because the accordion is a fascinating instrument. But the left side has just a series of like buttons running up and down it that are correlated with circle of fifths for scales, which means nothing to me because I played classical percussion for like 9 years. So like the keyboard, I kind of know because of scales, but this whole other thing, I'm like, okay, it sounds creepy here, so that must be minor, and like that is about it.
I just got word that Roll20 themselves is actually going to hire a professional accordionist to come on stream.
Oh, finally.
Test you when you're ready to remove the amateur status.
Let me go get it out of the closet. It's literally right there, guys. I could get it right now.
I mean, it wouldn't be the strangest instrument I've had someone play on a D&D stream with me before. So
What is the strangest instrument?
so my friend Max, who surprise surprise, also from Chicago. You're inescapable. So my friend Max has a collection of musical instruments that he cannot play very well, but are mostly props for his pirate costume for Ren fairs. So he will schlep his hurdy-gurdy to the Ren fair simply to wear it around. He played it for us a few times on stream. It was a nightmare. It was an utter abject nightmare. But a nightmare I now remember fondly. You know how sometimes when it's happening, you're like, I wish this would stop. But later you're like, that wasn't so bad. That's how I feel about listening to Max play the hurdy-gurdy. So you playing the accordion would be a step, I think, up from there.
Well,
Okay.
pardon
How
me.
do I feel
as
about
discover
children
what
choirs?
Yeah. Well, if you ever want to remove the amateur part of being an amateur accordionist, I'll give you $1 and you can make me an accordion video that's 1.5 seconds long, and then you can be a professional accordion player.
That's all it takes.
That's all it takes.
Hey, I've got content for you. Let's get on this train. We'll start a DM channel. Don't worry.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, perfect. Cool. And last but not least, and I love TK. I love this. There was a comment in chat earlier that was like, I can't tell if TK is frozen or just being very, very still. And I think that's great because it implies you're some kind of apex predator. Like you're just leaping out of the bushes ready to attack.
I like that. What?
Are you playing Candy Crush right now?
No, I'm playing something called Not Another Pixel Dungeon, and it's riveting. But I do appreciate the stalling that Masood was doing for me, because I had run through like a fire trap and I was like running to water, because if I stayed in one place, then I would definitely die. What was the question?
I feel like if you know what that could be your introduction if you like. We could just leave it.
I feel good. That was strong. I'm TK. I play phone games when I'm supposed to be working, and really, I'm just like all of you.
Extremely relatable. Like of everything else, like I'm in a band. We just got signed. I do a podcast. I play accordion. I play phone games when I'm supposed to be paying attention to other things. You immediately just win the like relatability award.
Well, I got through all of my deadlines. The show that I DM just is between seasons. It's really all coming up TK right now. So
we're dealing with vacation TK right now.
I got senioritis TK.
I'm really excited to see you play a character that is not Tack. Not because I don't love Tack, because I do, but it'll be interesting to associate you with something that isn't like a murderous shit goblin. I'm really looking forward to that.
Instead of it's a murderous 60-year-old.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're a 60-year-old human now instead. Well, let's talk about that. So if there are some people I'm sure in the audience who watched the GM prep because they like dramatic irony and they like knowing all the things in advance. But these characters are not really pre-gens. I made them specifically based on some things that y'all asked me for. And for the scenario kind of that I have in mind. And I wanted to show off some of the new stuff because we're playing in not Ravnica this time, but Eberron. Now there's some similarities between Ravnica and Eberron in that they're both a little anachronistic, but where Ravnica is high strangeness and magic everywhere and guilds. Eberron is somewhat grittier. Eberron is a sort of pulp action film noir kind of thing. Plus it has robots. Yeah.
Which actor's voice is doing the narration voiceover?
Right. That's a great question. Don Rickles.
Ooh.
Wait, you never watched a classic film noir with Don Rickles voiceover? It's great. It's great. So yeah, what we're gonna do? We're gonna obviously we'll start up the miniseries here. We've got 3 episodes, 3-hour episodes of Gateway to Perdition that we're gonna do, and I've made some characters to kind of show off some of the cool stuff about Eberron. But the players they didn't make these characters. They're getting access to them for the first time. I was saying to TK earlier, I'm very thankful that TK has risen to the challenge of playing the new class, the Artificer, which is going to be pretty cool. I'm excited. So let's just like take some time. Let's get familiar with the setting. Let's talk about it. So the game is set in the city of Sharn, which I can actually show you on the map because we have a big cool map. So this is the world of Eberron, and we're gonna be ignoring 95% of it. And down at the bottom, right here, is the city of Sharn. So Sharn is kind of the like big city of the world. It's the major metropolis, but instead of being built out, it was built up. So it's the city of towers. There are several kind of layered, kind of like Midgar from Final Fantasy VII. There's like several layered districts. So you kind of go up and down within Sharn, and then each district has its own kind of life within. And all of the towers are connected by bridges. which is why in Sharn, magical technologists sell feather tokens, because if you fall off a bridge in Sharn, it's going to be bad news for you unless you have magical
Fall
protection.
in real life.
Some of the that's right. some of the districts have like built-in featherfall like wards, but those are really the districts for rich people. The places we're going to be hanging out probably do not have that in place. It rains pretty much all the time in Sharn, and also because this is sort of a noir setting, things are gritty. There's a lot of muted trumpets and regret. So I've tried to work a lot of that thematic content into your character's backstory, which I gave you. I gave you basically, so for people watching, I gave the players each a little bio for their own character to say, sort of, this is what your character is about. This is some stuff that's happened in your past. And then a little bit of what you know about the other characters. So I guess we want to kind of go through and talk about each of the characters, and I'll answer any questions that you might have. But TK, in this, you're playing. Do you want to tell people what the idea you gave me that I used to base the character on?
Oh my gosh!
Do you remember what you said to me?
Yeah, I'm still in the Slack channels, so let me just take a gander. Oh, can I make a request? I desperately want to play a 60-year-old white-collar war profiteer fresh out of prison, like a bomb-ass Martha Stewart type.
I just love the idea of Martha Stewart selling AK-47s out of the back of her van.
Bomb-ass Martha Stewart type.
So to fulfill that request, I created Delilah de Cannith. So de Cannith Cannith is one of the dragon-marked houses. The dragon-marked houses are sort of the nobility of the nobility of the world of Eberron, and they have, and Delilah, you are among them. They have what are called dragon marks. Dragon marks are magical sigils that appear on some of these people. They are, I believe, at least partially genetic. So if Delilah had or has, because you're 60, so there's a chance this is true. If Delilah has children, they might also bear the dragon mark of making, which is the Decanath mark. Delilah is an artificer, which is a sort of spellcaster, magic item creator. And what kind of artificer are you, Delilah?
Delilah is the type of person who previously she'd been a procurer of goods, but now she's branching out. She's got her own brand. She likes to cater to the needs of specifically people who need to hide their weapons. So she does a lot of like thigh holsters and small derringers that pack a nice punch.
Yeah, and your subclass is artillerist, right? So you can make yourself turrets and flamethrowers and yeah. So the artillerist is a weapon crafter and wielder, and you have basically, when you make your weapon, you can make flamethrowers or force ballista, and it can be self-ambulatory, so it could be like a little turret that walks around and follows you, or it can be in the shape of a handheld weapon. So that is sort of your main jam, is creating and manufacturing these weapons. And this is important because the world has come out of the end of like a massive war. There's a big war between a bunch of different countries, and the technological level in this universe is sort of post. I would say that depending on like how deep into the kind of magical stuff you go, like some places obviously have more technology than others because technology isn't evenly distributed, but generally it's in a kind of magical equivalent of post World War I, pre World War II. Like there are, as we mentioned before, there are like trains. There's that orange line on the map. That's the lightning rail. So there are trains in the setting powered by magic. There are airships. And one of the other things that differentiates this setting from others is there are a bunch of different species, one of which are the Warforged, of which Masood will be playing. So Masood, what did you request of me for making your character?
So having spent a lot of time playing, recently Torgor, which is great. I did not want to play a typical humanoid character. I didn't want to do a dwarf an elf or a human.
Yeah.
And I'd had a lot of fun being an impulsive like character. Like we all know the way Torgor operates. Let's try something a little different. Yeah. And so you made Investigation Unit 1138X, aka Rook Slade, a robot.
That's right. A robot, man.
A robot. Terrific.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you are going to be playing, yes, a robot private detective named Detective Rook Slade. And the Warforged were created for that war. The Investigation Unit 1138X is, I think you're only like 8 years old. Yep, you're 8. You were created to fight in a war. You and all of your kin were robot soldiers, basically. And generally, Warforged are approximately human size and human shape, but there are other more terrifying iterations of the Warforged. They're enormous juggernaut Warforged. Some Warforged followed and still follow a rogue sort of deity figure named the Lord of Blades. But you've put that life behind you. You served your time in the war, and you tried to make it as a legitimate police officer in Sharn. But it didn't really go so good for you.
Nope.
Yeah, and so now you're making your living as a gumshoe, a private dick, and so as a result, I think probably, despite the fact that you're a Warforged, of all the characters, yours is the most kind of film noir protagonist character. Yeah, so you're a Warforged. There are other Warforged. The story that kind of revolves around Warforged is them being built for a purpose but not needed for that purpose anymore. They're the stand-in for like so many kind of like downtrodden war veterans in noir, right? That like, there's no place for me in the world. I'm going to either become like an organized crime, or I'm going to try to be a part of the like law enforcement. And so that's kind of the Warforged story, is that they don't really know what their place in Eberron is yet. And they're trying to kind of make it either as members of a organized community or as individuals, trying to find respect among other people who see them as maybe constructs.
To be fair, who knows what they're supposed to be at 8? You know, that is hard.
Yeah. I mean, you got a good like 12 years left in your life. So
absolutely.
Yeah. I'm not sure if there is an end to the Warforged. Like, I didn't know Warforged is old enough to know how long a Warforged lives.
Right.
Right.
No one's had to have a motherboard upgrade or anything like that. No, like truly, like their parts have just been damaged from the war, probably.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, right? Is that they were created at the beginning of the war using these massive magical forges to serve as soldiers, but we don't know if they're immortal or not, because we haven't had enough time to see if they outlast the people that made them. Most Warforged died in battle or were deactivated in battle. So in a way, you're kind of both Deckard and Roy Batty, right? You're both things, because you never know. You could die tomorrow. Your incept date could come up and that'd be it, right? Yeah. So that'll be fun. I think that all the characters have connections to each other. They at least know about each other, or maybe they're like old friends or rivals. And we'll reveal some of that stuff as we play. I liked how when I was doing the prep, I didn't reveal any of the character choices or anything. I didn't say like, oh, this person is playing that person. But I liked that once we started and we had the overlay up, a bunch of people who saw the prep they were like, oh, of course, Katie's playing a changeling. So changeling, Katie, wasn't actually one of the things you asked. That I added that for you. Do you want to talk about your concept for the character and how we executed on that?
I asked for specifically a Smee looking for his Captain Hook is what I asked for. Just because I don't know, I wanted to be blindly loyal to a cause. Everyone's throwing me such shade. Of course, she's a changeling. When I asked for I asked for the devout loyalty is what I'm going for today. A change of
right, exactly. Rather than the beloved backstabbing ballerina monk we know from the other show, It's time to be loyal. Yeah, I love this kind of character. Like I play that sort of character pretty much all the time. Like I like clerics, I like like characters who are, I like Wormtongue. Wormtongue is my favorite character in Lord of the Rings. I like people who are just like blindly, foolishly loyal to someone who it's a bad idea to be loyal to.
I have to ask then, was Hubert your favorite character
Yes,
in Fire?
of course. Of course, Hubert is like the ultimate ideal of that. That idea of, and with that type of character especially, there is, Wormtongue does this too, where it's like, I will serve you to the best of my ability, even if you don't understand what it is that I'm doing for you. Like, I burned down your childhood home so you no longer have to worry about the memories of it holding you back from what you truly can become. You're like, everyone I know lived there. And you're like, yes, I know. Yes. I did it for you.
Yes. This is true.
Yeah. So I figured the best way to get at that kind of character for this setting was to make you a character who literally can become whoever anyone needs you to become. You are a changeling. They are a distinct species of people, but they are able to change their form more or less at will. So you can become a human or an elf or disguise yourself easily. But I imagine that with a character like Vic, most of the time it's like you use that ability to just like do your job better, to be like, you need me to be a human right now. And I think there's probably a lot of like subtle manipulation that's involved there, right? Where if you take on a human form that looks kind of like a person, they're going to like you more because they're like, oh, like you look like family or whatever. So you've got lots of room to be a very talented lick spittle. And then also I made you a warlock. So you have like layers of people to obey above you.
Layers of people to please. I love it.
Yeah.
How common are changelings in our new setting?
I think it's hard to get a good census on them because it's not like you can count them. You're like, all right, in this house, there's 3 halflings and a human. Wait, no, 2 halflings, a dwarf, and a human. And then every time you look at somebody different. So I think probably it's unclear just how many changelings there are. As far as I know, there's no way even for a changeling to at a glance recognize each other, right? You don't have like a special way of noticing that. So they tend to be separated from their, and I'm noticing kind of with the Warforged and with the changelings, there's kind of a theme of connection to your own culture or not, right? Like the sense that the Warforged were simply made to look like one another. You may not have anything in common except the shared trauma of war. And then changelings, you wouldn't even know, right? Unless somebody showed you their true form, which is the sort of gray skin, pale hair, gray eyes, kind of changeling look. You could hide and pretend to be somebody else forever. You might never meet another changeling.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because that's so wild. Because just as a DM thinking about how difficult that must be to manage, just it'd be really subterfuge is so much easier now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and it adds to that sense of conspiracy and paranoia that again is like such a hallmark of noir fiction, right? This idea that not only do I not know if I can trust you, but you might not even be who you seem, right? The leggy dame that walks into your office might actually be a changeling, right? So you never know, and I think that creates this sort of sense of you might be if you have 3 friends that you've never had in the same room at once, it might be the same changeling. Right.
Oh my God. Because that's the thing is, it's like you're a police officer. You've had the 9th man today be like, no, it's a changeling. I swear.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't me. It was a changeling. I don't know. It just looked like me. Yeah. Right. And so it creates that sense of sort of paranoia and strangeness in the world. But Vic is, I think probably in this neighborhood, Vic is a fairly well-known quantity in the sense that you've worked for a few different people and done some dirty deeds as a result of having different people in charge. But your old friend Delilah is finally out of jail. And she's gonna be your ticket out of this garbage life.
Yes,
yeah.
I'm so ready.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. So that should be fun. We'll get to know Vic in whatever form they decide to take when we get started. And then lastly, William, you pulled a Canadian on me, and the only request you made was, I'll play whatever the party needs.
Yeah.
Which like I appreciate. It's nice. Like I'm usually that person too. Where I'm like, I'll play whatever. I'll fill in. So I made this character for you. I made Bruno the fighter. Bruno is, of everybody in the group, probably the best known. Though depending on who you are and what your opinions are about Bruno's either a character who has fallen from grace or is a dirty, no good, disloyal scumbag. Bruno is a professional fighter. Bruno is a boxer. And you are playing a shifter, which is another of the new Eberron races. Now it's confusing because we have changelings and we have shifters, and what's the difference between the two? Changelings can become any other sort of humanoid, right? They shift their form, they change, and their identity changes with them. Bruno has two forms, a more human-looking form and a more bestial-looking form. Bruno takes on the qualities of a bear, and I'll let you decide. I picked the token I could find for Bruno is literally just a bugbear with like little fur shorts on.
I love it.
Which I think is pretty good.
Yeah, I'm big fan over here.
Yeah. And so it's sort of, shifters are sort of a step between like true lycanthropes, right? Like Bruno isn't a werebear. Lycanthropy is a thing that exists in this, but shifters are more in control. They don't become fully animal. But they take on animal features. So their hair becomes coarser and longer. Maybe their muscles become more pronounced, and the different types of shifter give you different abilities. So Bruno is a disgraced boxer, a former star, a champ of the underground boxing circuit here in Sharn. But there was some disgrace in your past that led you to fall from that position and make some enemies. And that's one thing that the group has in common, right? The one thing that brings all of these characters together is a shared foe in the form of the Night Street Gang. The Night Street Gang is an organized crime syndicate that Delilah, when you went away, they weren't shit. They were nothing. They were like no good, like drug runners and street hoodlums. But it seems like things have changed in the old neighborhood since you were gone, Delilah, and the Night Street Gang has taken over somewhat. So before we dive in, because I've got a big sort of like bang we can jump in on, I kind of wanted to just do like a little like miniature session 0 with everybody, just to kind of get everyone on the same page and like talk about any kind of like stuff that might come up in the setting. So I've done what I can to make the sort of miniseries feel like noir in tone, but obviously as a genre, noir has some sort of problematic ideas about things like race or gender. It's not great about, like women, for example. So we're going to try to ignore and cut out all that crap. We're going to get rid of all that stuff. We're going to keep the gritty black and white vibe. We're going to keep the muted trumpets and the rain and the fedoras and the cigarettes. But the more problematic stuff we're going to set aside in favor of like pulp fantasy. Those kind of things are more interesting to me, and this is our Eberron, right? So we get to make those calls. The whole game is going to take place in the city of Sharn, with the exception of a single scene that you'll see in a moment. It's one of those things where like it's going to be a little bit more constrained than your usual D&D campaign, a little less chaotic than say Jace Bellerin Must Die, because we only have 3 episodes to get everything done. So I'm going to assume everybody is going to kind of like point in the same direction. As far as, I hadn't really thought about using any like safety tools or anything like the X card or lines and veils. Is that something that y'all want to use? Should we do something like that? What do you think? Are you familiar with these things? That's also a thing we can talk about too.
I am not.
Yeah. Okay. So there are a bunch of different ways that we can make role-playing games safer to play, right? For us as a group. And they sort of depend on a couple of like tools. There's a couple of different ways. The two that I tend to like are lines and veils, which are things that we can talk about in advance and discuss being like a line we'll draw or a veil that we'll draw across a scene. So these can be things like content that you might normally think to like look away from when it happens. So the common ones are like gratuitous violence or like torture or like anything that might be upsetting to engage with, right? We can say right now, if that comes up, we'll just draw a line and we'll move on, right? So we can have like the bad guy captures you and ties you to a chair and reveals that he has all these scary implements, and then just be like, and that's the end of the scene. We can just, you don't have to like walk through your character being tortured or whatever. We'll just move on. And then later kind of do the Empire Strikes Back and be like, later Rook is thrown into a jail cell and he's, all beat up, right? One of his optics is cracked, and like we can draw those conclusions. It's also a good way to kind of elide like sexual content without saying the characters never have sex or there's no like romance in the game. But if you're not comfortable playing it out, you can be like, and then we kiss, fade to black, right? And then later you wake up in bed together and it's like, yep, okay, cool. We can just infer that they hung out and ate grilled cheese sandwiches and played Uno. Right? So lines and veils are a way.
We don't play Uno, remember?
Yeah, remember, we heard a
Can't
lot
play.
about that from last session. No,
That's right.
Uno here.
Omu. We play Omu.
That's right. Yeah. So that's one way to do it. It requires lines and veils requires having a little conversation at the beginning and kind of being open about stuff that you don't want to have in the game. But lines and veils doesn't always cover like everything, right? There might be something that comes up, and if you forgot to mention it or you didn't realize that it was something that was going to bother you or whatever, it can be awkward to be like, hey, I know we already had this conversation, but can we draw a line on this? Now you can do that, obviously, but the X card is another way to do that, where we basically put, if you're playing at the table, you draw an X on a card, you put it on the table. And if anything comes up at all that people want to just stop talking about and move on, you just tap the X card, right? So in this case, I would have on each screen, I would have a like a big red X. And if something comes up that you want to skip over, or you're just like, cool, we're done, we don't need to talk about this anymore, you can ping it right in Roll20, and we'll see the big circle. So that's another option. It's a little bit more freeform. It's easier for like constrained environments or times where you don't necessarily know the people you're playing with that well, and you might be more comfortable with a sort of in the moment, like, oh, I just realized this is bothering me, let's move on, right? Mm-hmm. So those are a couple. I know that there are other kind of safety tools for playing RPGs, but I've been playing games with TK and Masood and Katie May for a while now, but we have a new player, and so it's worth revisiting these conversations and talking about it. So what do y'all think? How are you feeling?
I think I'll start in because, like you said, I haven't been a regular player with all of you. But personally, I mean, there are things that just like I'm gonna avoid anyway because there's a way about me that my whether it be how I feel about the world or whatever. So I'm not generally concerned because I also play with other like-minded people often. And I feel like you're all sort of in that same vein, so I'm not super concerned about it. If I was to say like a thing at all that I wouldn't like, I'm not expecting this kind of thing. But if no like transphobia, I guess.
Yeah, well, and that's sort of a thing that I wanted to address on the top. Like for me, like in this game particularly, like I have a personal kind of line and veil thing around like gendered violence, racism. Like I'm not interested in them in the game. The only thing in this setting that might come up is, and I wanted to talk to Masood about this, people treating you like you're not a person because you're a Warforged. That might come up. But also, if you say I'm not interested in that, then it just won't happen. We can just be like, yeah, you just won't meet anybody like that. So that's something that I wanted to address because there is that possibility. But yeah, definitely like, again, like I said, we're going to strip away any of the like gendered violence bullshit. We don't need any of that. Noir can have it.
I'm okay with mainly because I also trust you as a DM for how to handle that relationship of NPCs who might not be the most kind to Warforged. But yeah, also, if something comes up, I'm glad to know that there are tools at my disposal that we all know and respect.
Okay, cool. Good. Yeah, this is one of those things that like for TK and I, especially where like I like the creepy weird stuff too, and I always have to bring this up because sometimes you'll get into a groove where you're like, yeah, body horror, or like some other weird creepy thing, and I feel like it's good to just like bring that up and be like, cool, we're gonna need to let's not get carried away with that. I've had that happen in other games where two players kind of get into a thing and everybody else is just watching them like, this is very uncomfortable. What's happening?
I feel like this could have been a nice tool when Torgor broke off someone's finger to make paella. That would have been something that someone could have used.
I didn't feel the need to X card finger paella, but maybe someone else did. Maybe that was
also that person sucked. So
yeah, you can make finger paella out of the hands of people who are jerks.
I prefer not to see kids killed on camera. That's
I don't.
If a kid died and we just like heard about it. Yeah. Whatever, but like I don't like situations where it's like if you fail to blah blah blah, they're gonna kill this kid. I'm like,
no, that's great. That's a very good. That's a good thing. I have a player in another game who is they're very like they're easily upset by like violence against animals. So that's just something that we've like as a group we're like we just won't do it. Like it just doesn't come up. We change things so that just isn't a possibility. So that's good to know. That's nice. Thank you for letting me know.
Also,
about that.
Carlos is not here, so there will be no child killing.
That's right. Yeah, Carlos baby killer isn't here.
My only thing is that I usually play at a table, and especially for like horror is when I find this most useful, is to have like a yellow element as well as like, hey, like, let's maybe shift the scene more away. Like yellows are like, slow down. I'm not like, I don't have to stop, but I'm hitting like a threshold, I think is really important. I know I use it at my table. It's a really, I think, an important communication tool for my table, just to be like, hey, like, I'm still here and I'm with you. But like, just like as a scene partner, I'm letting you know that we're approaching a limit.
We use the for mists we use X and O as red, yellow, green. So
yeah.
Okay. Now, do we want to have like a formal tool like the X card for that, or do we feel more comfortable just saying like, hey, can we wrap it up? Because it can be hard to interrupt, right? When people get into a groove, you don't want to step in and be like, I'm just going to stop you in the middle of your scene. Like it can feel uncomfortable. You can feel like tense. Should we have another, like a nonverbal way to communicate that? Or do we feel okay? Like just being like, cool, this is great. But like, can we move on? I don't think it's going to come up, but this is why we have these conversations.
We've always had
sorry. I was thinking we can send a Zoom message. That might be.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
We do have Zoom chat.
Yep. Cause I'll always see those as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, honestly, we have a pretty informal way of playing games on here. So I've always felt comfortable stopping for.
Yeah, that's true. And this is, I guess this is something that's worth for people who haven't watched before, or for example, William. The way Jace Bellerin and the way this group has kind of shaked out, and I'm really curious to see how the energy is like different. We have a tendency to go on tangents, and we're not like in character all the time.
Not today, baby.
That's right.
Locking it in. Someone made a joke about you being young, Katie, and we ignored it.
That's right. We did. Yeah, we didn't even attach to the joke.
Small. We didn't. Yeah. We didn't stop and make jokes about me.
All business.
Yeah.
All business babies.
So just so you know, William, they wanted to bully you, and I told them no.
That is bullshit. I have receipts that prove that is a lie.
I love that. You're the only one on my side.
It's true. I'm your only friend, William.
Those can be photoshopped. Perfect.
I felt like it would be a really strange energy if I came in and just started bullying all of you. So
that's how you actually prove dominance.
That's what I did.
This group responds very well to being bossed around. So there's still time for you to do that.
I'm such a big bully that I took the game away from Adam last week. So honestly, you fit right in.
I believe there was a moment where TK said, "Wait a second, I'm not the DM of this show." Which is good. It's nice. You know, the positive way to spin that is that we share the load together, that I don't have to do all this work alone. So
you don't. I'm your only friend, Adam.
It's nice. That's good. I know.
Now hold on a minute.
I could be both of your only friends.
That's true.
So I think for the most part, like, it's not like we're playing a game like, I don't know, Blackbeard's Bride, or even like vampire, for example, there's not going to be a lot of stuff. Still Dungeons and Dragons. It's mostly going to be punching bad guys and getting in trouble and doing pulpy stuff. There's not necessarily going to be a ton of that stuff. So I think we'll be pretty good, but I feel better having had the conversation at least and knowing that if there is something that somebody needs to elide, that we have a vector for that. So that's good. I was gonna do, and I was joking about this with the cast earlier. I was gonna do like updates to the overlay to add pronouns for all the characters, but all the characters have the same pronouns. So everybody in the group is they, them. All the characters are. I think Vic also, so for Vic, do they, like they, them is probably their neutral pronoun. And then if they're in a gendered form, they might use different pronouns.
I think that Vic would respond to any and all. I think that's part of the exhilaration is being able to ascribe to any of those at any given time.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Fun. I like it. And for Rook, they, them is their pronouns now. Is this because those are the pronouns that Rook has like decided on for themselves? Or is it just like more like Vic where you have a different relationship with what biological is considered gender?
There are no genders in the Warforged. We are just Warforged.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think this is an interesting thing to look at in terms of, because a lot of the time you have you have groups where it's like a bunch of binary pronouns and then a character or two characters that are non-binary. But with a whole group of characters that are non-binary, we get an opportunity to look at the fact that non-binary isn't one thing, that there's a lot of different ways to do it. So it's cool that we have a character that's like responds to all genders because they're extremely fluid in that way. And then another character that's just like, gender's not a thing, like for me or my people. Like we just don't consider it. Yeah, I love it. It's super cool. I'm excited.
Yeah, coincidentally, that's how I feel about human beings.
Yeah.
Whoa. Really? Yeah, no kidding. Oh no.
Yeah, right. Well, and that's a fun thing you can do with role-playing games. Sometimes role-playing allows you to assess something from a somewhat distant remove and then have revelations about that thing. Be like, wait a second, this is true in real life too. I'm also a murderous goblin who tries to attack people with a melon baller.
Okay.
Listen, whatever I say, I've survived an encounter in real life with you, and so you're not actually that scary. It's okay.
Don't worry, I can still be scared if it makes you feel better.
It does. And it's only because I was in the middle of stealing like an entire tray of cheesy bread. So
that is true. You had your hands full.
And Todd like called me out. Todd is so scared of me and I love it. I live for Todd being afraid of me.
Excellent.
Todd was like TK and I was like, fucking say something, Todd. Come for me.
Yeah. I mean, I think Todd's fair game. It's cool.
Bless his heart.
Yeah. So I think for me, that's pretty much all I kind of had to go over. Oh, the other thing was we're going to jump around in time a little bit. So I will probably need your help. I'm going to enlist you in this. I think a lot of DMs try to do this and they don't get the players on board and then they fumble badly because it's very complicated and challenging. So the game is going to begin at the end and then we're going to go back to the beginning and we're going to work our way back up to the end. So chronologically, I'll need your help. You're going to need to find reasons to get your characters on that train because we're starting at the end of the game and we're going to rewind and spend the next rest of the sessions like figuring out how they got there and instead of let's just do it. I just wanted to warn you there's going to be some chronological jumping around. I might need your help making sure that continuity functions the way that we want it to.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but a lot of the last note, I guess, is that much of the material that we're using, almost all of it all the new stuff especially comes from the yet to be released Rising from the Last War D&D supplement. So there's going to be stuff in here that is new both to us and to everyone. Cool. So even if you're familiar with Eberron from the Wayfinder's Guide, a bunch of stuff has changed. So if you are expecting a certain mechanical thing, or you think we're making a mistake, like for example about Rook's armor class, Warforged in this book are different than the Warforged in Wayfinder's Guide. Someone
told me I was supposed to have 22 armor class.
Yeah,
I only have 14. 13.
Well, so
Adam?
you're not a fighter first, and they're comparing you very unfairly to 8, which is a Warforged in another game that I run by Dave, who I think is maybe the most mechanically proficient Dungeons and Dragons player I've ever played with. So 8 was deeply, deeply min-maxed to have high armor class.
Yeah.
Rook, somewhat easier, but you were not meant for frontline combat. You're a sneaky.
That's true.
You're a sneaky
Absolutely.
investigator robot.
Also, we can talk about integrated protection later about how I can update my armor class.
Yes. Yeah. You currently have the equivalent of leather armor integrated into your chassis, but you can change it out and adjust it. Yeah. Yes, TK.
I know you've been ignoring me for a little while, but this is a very important question.
Yes.
Are all of the NPCs hot?
No. Some of them are not hot.
Will you clarify that they're not hot when they are introduced for the?
I think it'll be clear when I describe the NPCs that are not hot that you will know.
You thought that about Dregs, but
that's true.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah.
Okay, just like do your description and then at the end say not hot.
Oh, I did
not
have
hot.
Right. Okay. I did have a question. And it's mostly just a jokey question, but TK, the violence against children thing, does it apply to halflings wearing diapers?
Fuck.
Are they grown halflings?
Yeah, but they have like a weird baby kind of like shtick. Is it okay
got
to
a
beat
baby.
them up?
Like a fetish or
if
like
they
a shtick?
deserve
It's like a
it, I'm not
shtick.
going to beat
Some
it
of
up
you-
just
some
because
of you will
it's their
have
shtick.
some of you will have information about this NPC in your character background. Bruno especially has had personal interactions with this particular halfling.
Diapered halfling? Are you serious?
I'm sure he won't come up again.
Not hot. Clarify
clearly
for me
not
right
hot.
now.
That's one of the not hot
Yeah,
NPCs
okay.
for sure.
Okay, cool.
But I just want to know if it's okay to like
you guys
boot this one off of a cliff or something.
It's okay as long as I don't get shamed on the internet for kink shaming.
Yeah, it's less a fetish and more of like a whatever they call, like I don't know enough about wrestling to know the term for this, but like it's like a kayfabe
persona.
thing. It's a persona.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay.
It's a
that's
boxing
fine.
persona.
Yeah,
I
if
guess-
they deserve it, we can whoop them.
Yeah, I mean,
Unless they like it. Ew, if they like it, no.
Rook, Vic, and Bruno all know about the baby, but
Oh, I
Delilah's
hate
been in
this
jail.
already.
Delilah's been in jail for most of the baby's like rise to power, I think.
He actually got really big this summer,
Oh.
dropping a lot of hot tracks,
Yeah.
and really has been blowing up.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the thing in my background.
Oh, so you've heard tale of the baby.
Okay.
I have nothing written
That's-
about the movie. I'm so mad.
I hate it.
I will say that tonally, my anticipation of this is that it's likely to be less Chinatown and more Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Nice.
I think we're gonna end up there. Like we could try for LA Confidential, but I think we're gonna probably fall short of the seriousness meter on that one. So
I am Betty Boop in that club.
We're gonna go full noir. Everyone's gonna be shocked. Everyone's gonna be like, "Wow, they weren't chuckle fucks this time." It's gonna be so-
Wow.
It'll be the most serious campaign ever made. All right, so I think we're ready to start. At least we'll be able to get some time in on this opening scene. So let me set it up for you, and then we'll see what happens.
I had one mechanical question.
I was gonna say, if anybody has any last questions, please.
For sure. So I was
Okay.
looking
Oh, sorry.
at no, get out of here. We all know Rook Slade is. We'll talk about that later.
Ruggedly handsome.
Hold the TK there for a second.
He's 8. We'll see. So eye for deceit. Ear for deceit.
Yes.
It says whenever you make you have the choose this archetype. Whenever you make a wisdom check to determine whether a creature is lying, treat a roll of 7 or lower on the D20 as an 8.
Yes.
Then does it add the like modifier?
Yeah.
to
It means you can't roll any lower than an 8. Like if you roll a 7, just pretend that you rolled an 8 and then add all your modifiers and stuff. Yeah. There are a few classes that have this.
Yeah, and then a nat 1, I imagine, still is a nat 1, or is that also?
No,
covered?
it's if you're trying to determine if somebody is lying, you cannot roll worse than an 8. It is
very
not
good.
possible, which means 8 is the default baseline difficulty rating for me to overcome with a deception check. So you're very hard to lie to. The irony is that you have the ability ear for deceit, and yet you have no ears.
Oh, my receptors.
That's right. You have head-mounted microphones like an ASMR streamer.
Oh my gosh. The best.
People just walk up behind Rook and be like, Rook, what's going on? No, stop it. Stop it. Yeah, I like it. So yeah, you and you can flavor that kind of however you want, right? It could be like you're reading their heart rate. It could be like, it's so easy to read biologicals when they think that they're lying to me. Like you can flavor that however you want when it comes down to it. But yeah, you're exceptionally good at grilling nerds.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool.
Nerds.
Any other
question?
Yeah, any other questions about
So
stuff? Yeah,
technical.
please.
For my Book of Ancient Secrets, which are those spells? Did you pick those spells? Which are those?
Your spell list is already, all that stuff's covered. You don't have to make any choices.
Okay, cool.
That's all done. Whatever's in the spell list, you got it. Yeah, I wanted to reduce the amount of having to like pick things and not knowing the optimal stuff. So you're good to go.
Eldritch Cannon. Thank you.
I guess that's a question. Delilah, you would have already made yourself your Eldritch Cannon. Is it a force ballista or a flamethrower? And is it like a gun, like a pistol or a rifle or something? Or is it a turret that follows you around?
How long have I been out of prison?
I assumed that the beginning of the game proper is you like you're arriving. You literally like got off the train with your bag and met Vic at the station, right? Like I imagine that you literally just got out of jail.
I made it in prison.
Okay, nice.
So it is a very small Derringer flamethrower, and like it's cobbled together with like some rubber bands and floss and a dental, like a toothpaste. But it's got like my artificer runes, like in
jail, the guards are going through the like confiscated items, and they're like shiv, phone, drugs, flamethrower.
I changed it. It's not a flamethrower. It is a ballista.
You want to go with the force ballista?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It makes more sense.
All right, cool.
It shoots like little sharpened toothpicks.
I'm sorry. Is that just a gun?
It's a gun. It's a magic gun.
Okay,
yeah,
it's a magic gun.
It's my tiny magic Derringer.
I guess that's the other thing is that there are firearms very sporadically like available in Eberron, but the problem is that by the time they were safe enough and like accurate enough to use, people who use magic had made better versions already of like magical stuff. So there's like the gun that Delilah has, lots of people have wands, like magic missile wands or whatever, force wands. So it's more like that. An actual mechanical pistol would be kind of like strange.
Yeah. And
Can a gun be my arcane focus?
Yes, sure. Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah.
Cool. Gun is my dump stat.
Yeah, exactly. That's totally
Wisdom, charisma, gun.
Yeah, I mean, there's like, I mean, I guess a hexblade warlock in Eberron could use their blade pack to make a gun.
That would be so rad.
Yeah.
That'd be so rad.
There you go. Free character concept chat. Do it. Gun warlock.
Cast kill. Thank you.
But yeah, most people have like limited use magic items. And in the same way, a lot of and this is kind of similar to Ravnica, but it's like kind of grittier in Eberron. But a lot of places, magic stands in for where we would have technology instead.
Yeah, quick question about that. So I noticed that I don't have a single Featherfall token in my inventory.
That's right. Nobody does. You're all poor.
Can I switch out little bag of sand for?
No.
I'm not poor. I'm unfortunate right now.
That's true. Yeah, you like technically, Delilah, you have a whole noble house that owes you for doing a bid for them, but you need to prove yourself first. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, nobody in your family came to pick you up from the train station, right? None of your old friends. It was Vic. Vic came to get you.
So no friends and no family. That's fine.
Except for me.
That's right.
No friends and no family.
Okay.
So Delilah is Mr. Burns and Vic is Smithers. I see how it is. Okay, good. Perfect. Okay, cool.
Just wanted to bully Katie for
any
3
other
hours.
Thoughts, questions, shots at Katie? No, we're good. Okay, cool. All right, so let me frame this opening scene, and we'll start it off, and then we'll take our break and we'll finish it out. So, I think we fade in on everything in. Imagine all the descriptions that I make. Imagine them to the sound of like a mournful, muted trumpet soundtrack. If I don't actively describe that it's raining, just imagine it's raining anyway. So I think what we see is not the tower. We don't see the towers of Sharn. We don't see the cramped urban sprawl of the city of towers. Instead, we see darkness and wilderness. Right? We see forest. We see mountains. And the only sign that this isn't a completely wild environment is through the mountain range. We see the occasionally flickering metal track of a lightning train. So we can see this like a sleeping serpent winding through the mountains. And pretty much as soon as we're able to notice that, as soon as it's visible in the shot, we hear the sound of the train. Now, because it doesn't have a steam engine, it doesn't have wheels, it's more like a bullet train than it is like a steam engine, but we hear the faint sort of crackling sound. Maybe we hear the sound of the rail activating, and as the rain hits it, it evaporates. And then we cut to a shot of a lightning train coming like barreling through the mountains. I wonder if I might have some art of a lightning train, but I think if I use the words lightning train, you can pretty much figure it out. Mm-hmm. But it's a magical, lightning rail. It's a magical train meant to carry passengers, cargo, etc. throughout the world of Eberron. And we hear it first, and then we see it. It comes into frame. It's made out of wood and steel, treated with magic. There are flickers of lightning coming between it and the rail, and it floats like it's magnetically propelled over this rail, and it rips by. And we see, I think, from outside, we see the windows of this passenger car, and we see that the train is basically empty. It's an empty passenger train. And this is it, right? This is the 2 a.m. train out of Sharn. It's the last chance to escape a city that's turned its back on you. It's your only way out. And now it's been cut off. So we cut to the interior of a car. We see the group of you. And essentially, the train car is like a hallway, right? There are cabins on either side. There's an open area. You maybe thought that you were the only passengers on this train, but it clearly has been proven you were wrong. On either side of the car, the doors have opened, and coming in, holding, I think probably like crossbows and clubs, we see members of the Sharn City Police Department. You recognize them, Rook, by their little hats and their armored outfits. We see them close in on you, and they have you surrounded. And it looks to you like they are not here to ask you nicely to return with them. So I'm gonna pop you over to this train car map that I've put together here. And we are going to see how our characters deal with these police officers who are here to get you. So there is a captain, and I think actually I'm going to move you, Bruno, over here. So there's a captain in charge, and I think he does his thing. And you've seen this look. I think all four of you have seen this look on the face of police officers before, where the words he's saying, right? He says to you over the hum of the rail, he says to you, everybody just put down your weapons. Nobody needs to get hurt tonight. You're going to come back with us. But his eyes and the little grin on his face say, please put up a fight. It's all I want. Like, please give me an excuse. You know that if you go with these cops, that Delilah, for example, you'll never see daylight again. You've got a pretty bad record. And if you're found to have been a recidivist, it's back to the hole for you for the rest of your life. And the rest of you all have you have a reason to avoid being arrested by the cops. You've all done bad things. So why don't we get a description of the characters, right? I've described the situation, but I'll give you a chance to kind of give me an idea of what your character looks like to you, right? I picked some tokens that I think would be good stand-ins, but give me a description of what your character looks like and what we would learn if this is our first shot of them. What's the look on their face? Do they look nervous? Are they like readying a weapon? Give us some idea of what the character is thinking by way of this description. So Delilah, tell us, you're the one that has the most to lose here. What do we see as the camera pans over to Delilah?
I should say I do have the most to lose. After all, I could lose my freedom, my riches, my networking, my clients, and all they have to lose are their lives. How sad. And so Delilah sort of tilts, this elderly humanoid sort of tilts their romance novel that they're reading and turns their chin down a little. They've got a fur stole around their shoulders and dress that probably fit them better when they were younger. A silk red number with sheer sleeves and a low neckline. And they tilt their head to the side and their little black bob tilts with them. I tilt again and Vic, be a dear and stamp out my cigarette. I can't have it burning while we're dealing with this.
Of course.
I'm just gonna move Vic right over here. There's no way you're any more than 5 feet away from Delilah. What does Vic look like right now?
I think that they're in like a travel sort of mode. I think that they are probably looking like a human right now. Someone who would be seen traveling with Delilah is kind of like my look, because I don't want to make Delilah feel like they're with someone of a lower
I don't know
status.
why this just jumped into my head, but I envisioned Vic as looking like Raul Julia. Like Gomez Adams, like the little pencil mustache, like that's one of your forms.
Yes. just a sharp little suit and a sharp little number.
Yeah. Delilah definitely dresses Vic out of their family's closet.
Ah, nice.
If Delilah has like the 4th romance novel, like in the series, I have the 1st one and I'm trying to catch up. So that we can talk about it as friends. So yes, that's sort of my situation. I've stamped out the cigarette and I've done a wonderful job.
Okay, nice. All right. And Rook, what about you? I mean, some of these guys, right? Like this lieutenant, maybe you don't know his whole name. Maybe you can't remember maybe it was Doyle or something, but you know all of these guys. You've seen them before. They're from the same precinct you are.
Right. And probably don't think highly of me because they still have their jobs while
that's right. That's the problem of knowing all these cops is they all know you too.
Right. And so Rook, investigative unit 1138 is 6'10" and 300 pounds. And the way I envision this is that they are really like lanky, like they are thin and wiry, but also because they're investigative unit, in order to like get and disguise themselves, they can kind of compress their like joints to like collapse a little bit, not a lot. Like their size will stay medium, but they can compress slightly. And I was really inspired while I was thinking about this. Like, he looks like Q from Street Fighter Third Strike. Like, he's got the trench coat over and like the button down and the tie, but it's all really low quality. Like, it's like there's like dirt all over his trench coat. There's clearly like sprawling that's coming. It's not high quality, this duster that he's got on him. And the same thing with like, you know, he actually wears a bow tie. He doesn't wear a regular tie. He wears a bow tie.
Yeah.
Sorry, they wear a bow tie.
Yeah.
And their face is much more robotic than it is like a human mask. And you see Rook press themselves up against imagine this like side wall, putting their like back to Doyle maybe, and like kind of trying to get a read on them while also pulling out their short sword in their right hand while making them as small as possible.
Yeah, so you're making your. Is it? So you're trying to stay hidden, or are you drawing? Okay, yeah. So this isn't like I'm drawing my sword as a way to say like, yeah, I am going to. Right. Okay. So despite the fact that Delilah is a pretty high profile, like relatively influential target here, most of the police seem to be most concerned about what our last party member is going to do, and I think to the point where the lieutenant, when he's speaking, he's addressing the group, but he's looking at Bruno like, all right, Bruno, it's like, I know how you are. Like, let's all just stay calm. What do we see when we follow the lieutenant's eyes to Bruno?
So Bruno is also kind of tall, not as tall as Rook is, but like it's 6'2", pretty 250 pounds, like, but very like dense muscle.
Mm-hmm.
The way they're wearing like kind of like calf high, really formal pants that are just kind of a little bit shredded, and then also like just a duster, like no shirt underneath, very like hairy torso, and they have kind of bronze-ish skin, with gray light white hair that is like, they have long hair, and then the hair like on their body is also like it, but it's not like hair you would see on it. It resembles fur more than hair, like the on the torso and everything. And they're wearing this duster, no shirt, but the duster is also like at the arms and like shoulders and everything is also like a little bit shredded.
Yeah.
But like right now you wouldn't really know exactly why, because it does flow off of them just a tiny bit at the moment. It's not like they're filling it out or anything yet. And when the lieutenant looks at Bruno for this, they put their hands up and start to put them kind of behind their head.
Yeah, because right now ain't none of these cops in punching range.
Yeah.
So they kind of look, and there's a moment you see between these two bandits, these cops over here, where they look at each other and they're like, no, you go arrest him. No, you arrest them. No, you do it. And it kind of like, it happens silently, but one of them, this one back here kind of covers you. And this officer approaches. He puts his weapon away, reaches for some handcuffs, and walks towards you. And he's doing that placating thing where he's got one hand out and he's like, "We're just gonna take you back to the station, Bruno. Get all this cleared up." Like he's trying to pretend like this is gonna go great for you if you just cooperate. And he comes over with the handcuffs to cuff you.
I'd like to imagine that there's like a device at each of my palms, like down by the wrist, that Bruno can like press, and it shoots the knuckle dusters over their fingers.
Yeah. So this guy, I mean, nobody ever thinks that Bruno the Bear is truly unarmed because most of these people have probably been at one of your fights. These are like bad neighborhood cops who hang out at the same things the mobsters do. So they've seen you fight. Nobody here has any compunctions, but getting punched in the face by your bare fist is scary enough. And then the knuckle dusters come out. And the cop probably realizes that this is not going to go great. Do you sock him in the face?
I sock him in the face.
All right, let's have you roll that, and I'll give you that one for free, and then we'll roll initiative. And then after the break, I guess we'll do our little fight with these officers. So yeah, go ahead and take a swing at him. Okay, all right. So the first swing, now this is great. You get two because you're a 2-weapon fighter. So the first swing, you lunge at him, and his own innate fear of you, his paranoia, like gives him that animal like he backs up, and your fist swings in the air. But a lot of people forget about the left hook. You want to try and tag him again? Let's see. Is this cop wearing armor? He is. So you hit him, not enough to hurt him, but you punch him in the chest. He staggers back, like trying to catch his breath, And the lieutenant, instead of, getting upset that this turned into a fight or whatever, we just see the lieutenant grin and reach for his truncheon. But instead of coming towards you, Bruno, he's looking over here like, who's the person I can beat on the easiest? And Vic, it looks like you're the target. So what we're going to do is we'll get everybody to roll initiative and we'll get all that stuff going and we'll play this out. But first we're going to take a short break. So thank you everybody for coming. Stick around. We're going to take a little break here and we'll be right back with more Gateway to Perdition. Don't go anywhere. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Gateway to Perdition. We did our Session 0 stuff, and we got in a fight with some totally legitimate police officers. Let's see how that goes. I'm sure it's going to go great. I'm sure that all this will just get worked out, and you'll be able to go back to your totally normal, crime-free lives. But first we got to have a fight. So, Rook, I've got your initiative on the order. So if everyone else would like to click their token,
good.
pop open the card sheet, roll that
Classic
initiative.
big move here.
Okay.
3.
Nice. Good. Okay.
Wow, I didn't realize that you'd put the whole name for Rook on there.
AKA
It's not
Rook
even
Slade.
it's not even the full name. I left Rook's cool last name off.
Oh, let me update that.
That's horrible, I suppose.
All right, and then I need the captain. There we go. Okay. All right, I think that's everybody. So, Rook, you're the fastest. You're the first.
Okay.
What would you like to do? You see Bruno do that thing that guy from the Superman did from that movie, cocks the guns and then starts going in on the cop in front of him. So this isn't gonna go. It's not gonna go easy. What do you do?
Can I use the hide action to gain stealth?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
You can do hide as a bonus action, right? As part of your cunning action.
How would I roll that? Just a roll d20?
Yeah, we'll just make a stealth roll.
Okay.
And then basically as long as you beat the passive perception of whoever you're about to attack. There you go. You got
Gotcha.
19. Yeah, no problem. Okay. So you find one of the many and ample shadows that are in this car. I think the car is lit mostly by kind of some weak overhead lighting, so it's all sort of dim in here, and then occasionally a flicker as the track kind of sparks. So there'll occasionally be like a blue flash in the room, and so there's lots of shadow for you to hide in. So
Perfect.
Okay.
Then I would like to move. Let's see. 30. So 5. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Mm-hmm. So this object right here is a like a couch.
Uh-huh.
These are as well here and there, and they face in, and then these couches have kind of like 2 seats on either side, so you can skulk down beside this. And the lieutenant is very focused on Vic right now, right? The lieutenant is like, I'm gonna go and beat on that changeling, and so doesn't notice you.
And then I'm gonna just stay hidden right here.
Okay. Now, since you're a rogue, you can hide. You hid as a bonus action, so you still have an action if there's something you'd like to do.
But can I hold my action? Because if I attack, will I then lose my stealth?
That's right. If you attack from stealth, you have advantage on the attack, but then you won't be hidden anymore. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait.
Okay.
I'm gonna say,
you want to ready in action?
I want to ready in action.
Okay.
Basically, I want to wait for the guy with the actual Rook demarcation in the back of this car.
Yeah.
Pull up
This
in
guy.
front of me.
So the guys with the little tower on them, they have cover. They're hiding. They're hiding back behind. I think they're taking cover in case this turns into a gunfight because they know a little about Delilah to Kenneth. They know that cover is an important thing to have when wanting to arrest someone like that. Okay, so you're gonna ready your action. So what is the what's the trigger for that action? What do you want to do?
The trigger for the action is when Doyle makes a move because he's right next to me towards Delilah to then attack him.
Okay, yeah. So get him as he moves. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that is precisely what he is going to do. So he draws a weapon. He draws a sword from his belt, and he takes a step here and then a step over here. And as he does, you are welcome to use your action to attack him.
Okay. I attack him.
Okay.
With a sneak attack.
Okay.
Let's see.
All right. So you roll an attack with your weapon. You have advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so 13. Let's see. You miss. So he starts to move. You come out from behind the thing, and what is it? Is this like a stab? Are you slashing him? Like, what does your attack look like?
I think it's like coming across his back like a slash up.
Mm-hmm.
And then as Rook misses, 1 second.
And it's a close miss, right? You hit his armor. So it's not that you miss him, it's just that he's wearing like thicker. Maybe you cut through his uniform and he's got like a bulletproof vest on underneath. Like clearly these guys came here for a fight.
Yeah. And then you hear Delilah go. Oh, you hear Rook go. Well, it seems like Daddy-O, you came ready for the fight.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah. So you slash him and he's like, he lets out a noise of surprise. He didn't see you. He turns around and he snarls and he says, you ruined my uniform. And he takes a swing at you with his weapon. So here is the first attack, which I'm pretty sure is a miss. Got a 12. And then his second attack, because he gets 2, is a 15.
Hit.
Okay, so he hits you and deals 4 slashing damage.
Cool.
Yeah. So he drives you back against the thing, and now the two of you are like having a sword fight, right? Like he attacks, maybe you parry the first one, the second one catches you, and you see this cop over here like react with surprise as you
bad move, cat.
as you pop up. I love it. All right, Bruno, it is your turn. You wanna try that again?
Yeah. Well, first I'd like to use a bonus action to shift.
Yes. All right. What does that look like?
So suddenly in front of this guard or whatever, this cop, the duster fills out. And
right.
And the pants like fill out and like tear a little bit more. I forgot to mention that Bruno, they're not wearing shoes, so like their feet kind of arc up like and dig outwards, like trenching a little bit of the floor in front of them, and then their teeth like grow a little bit into fangs. Their hair like poofs out and like becomes more of like a mane almost, and then they reach back and with a knuckle duster are gonna try to do a big sock punch in the face.
Nice. All right, so you shift and you're gonna be in this form for a minute. You can maintain this form, and while you're shifted, you get temporary hit points equal to your level plus your Constitution modifier, and then another D6 and a +1 bonus to your armor class, because you're a beast tide shifter. So do you want to roll that D6?
Yeah. Yes, I would love to roll that D6.
Right, cool.
Hold on. How do I do that?
So you got a couple of options. You can type in the chat. You can type /R space D6. Or in the toolbar on the left side of the screen, there's a little D20. If you hover it gives you all the dice in the world.
Like that.
Just like that. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. So you got a 5 plus, what's your level 3?
Plus, and then my con modifier is 3.
3. So 11 temporary hit points.
Nice.
There you go.
Excellent. So now you have 42 hit points. And you are slightly harder to hit. Your AC goes up to 17. And I think we see this. And then we see the cop like look up as he's looking you in the eyes, and suddenly your eyes are up here, and his eyes kind of go wide. And then that was only a bonus action, so you just pow, you give him a punch. There you go. That's better. Okay. All right. So you hit him with the first one. If you click where it says Knuckle Duster +5 there, if you click the word Knuckle Duster, it'll roll your damage for you.
If I click Knuckle Duster again?
Like in the chat. If you hover it turns red and you can just click on it. Okay. So the first hit, just like square in the jaw. Bang. Nice. You ring his bell with the first hit. You do have a second swing. He's still conscious.
All right.
Another 22. Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right, for 6. Now there's an important question for you here. Now you're a professional pugilist. You're a they of discipline. So do you want to kill this person, or you want to just knock him out?
Yeah, I was wondering if you were going to ask me about lethal damage.
Yeah, it's entirely up to you, and it's on the final blow. And it's does Bruno kill this guy or just knock him out?
I'm incredibly professional, and I love to leave people behind that are also very, very afraid of me. So
Right. Okay. So provided this cop survives and the train doesn't like go off a cliff, he will have a story about the time that he got punched out by Bruno the bear.
Heck yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, you knocked this dude flat. You can still move if you want. You've had a very effective turn. So you shifted, you gave him the 1-2, and now you can move if you want to. You can see that right now Rook is tangling with a combatant that might be above. Rook is trying to punch above their weight class right now.
Yeah. I've definitely. I literally want to just move to like right. Actually, I want to get between. I want to move to like some. I'm in the couch. There we go.
You can be on the couch. You can just jump over it, right?
Can I jump up on the couch?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. So in this case, you just, leap over the couch, land on the other side, probably tear the upholstery. And that's your turn. Cool. So Delilah, it's your turn. What would you like to do?
I like to think most of this time that Delilah has been seated on like a very ornately cushioned stool that they make Vic bring with them every single time they go anywhere. And so Delilah immediately stands up, looks to Vic to pick up the stool. Obviously, it must be folded and replaced in their luggage. How many of these police officers can I see? Because I'm looking at this.
You can see 2. You see the lieutenant here, and you see another over here crouched down behind with a crossbow. And then Vic, you see that there are 2 more coming up the car this way.
Okay. I think Delilah will look at Vic and say, well, I don't suppose we can expect to keep our help after they've, gotten themselves entrenched in this sort of thing. We should make an exit now. Hello, dears. I'm afraid it's about to get very bumpy, so you may want to hold on to something. And they take their lipstick and sort of apply it and on the third smack that they do with their lipstick, they cast Thunderwave in the direction of both their allies and those police officers.
Oh boy.
Okay. So Thunderwave is a
15-foot cube.
Yeah, 3x3 cube. And it emerges from you. You have to be on one of the faces of it. So you might need to move if you want to target it, but
I can move.
Yeah, let me see.
Yeah, move so I'm behind you.
Yeah,
maybe.
okay. Yeah, I'll be gesticulating at the luggage and things like that, and moving along here and getting my carry-on packages.
Perfect.
And moving to where there are whatever area is the most collection of police officers.
Yeah, so Thunderwave, let me show you where you can where you could place it.
All right.
I guess here, let me make it square. So it could hit all 3 of them if you wanted to. You'd have to stand there to do that.
Okay.
But that could be a thing that you do. Thunderwave this area. Okay, cool. All right, yeah.
Okay.
So you move up. And what does it look like when you cast spells, right? Because you have these devices and stuff as an artificer.
It's very much like a device. The lipstick that she has or that they have applied has a sonic amplification in it.
So it's the smacking sound that turns into the that's so good. That's so cool. I love the idea that all of your spells are things that you maybe, or someone maybe designed to be something else that you were like, oh, I can make that into a weapon that someone could hide really easily. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really good.
It's very 1930s, Mata Hari spy nonsense.
Yeah, but instead of poison, it's a horrific wave of energy.
Because I'm sure it's innocent design was to amplify your voice, and then
exactly.
Delilah
that's right.
Bye.
Husband won't listen to you? Put on new Thunder brand lip color.
Yeah.
He won't have a choice then, because you'll blow his skin off. So
They have a similar amplification device in the heels of their stilettos.
Of course, yeah. Okay. All right. So let's see. Thunderwave is a saving throw. I believe it's a dexterity saving throw. No, Constitution save. Okay. Constitution saving throw from Bruno and from Rook.
I would like to cast that at 2nd level.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay.
Thankfully, Constitution saving throw. All right.
Yeah,
DC 13.
Okay, well, lucky for you, Delilah, the only person that failed was the lieutenant. Now that means that
as I intended.
It's half damage for everybody else. Okay. All right. So that would be 9 damage to both of you.
I want to think that Thunderwave also pushes the lieutenant away.
Yeah, if you
feet.
fail the save, you get pushed 10 feet, I think, or knocked prone.
Yeah.
Let's see. 10 feet. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. In addition,
So
unsecured objects are automatically pushed 300 feet away, and the spell emits a thunderous boom audible out to 300 feet. So we see the outside of the train when the spell goes off. All 4 of these windows just immediately blow out, right? Just bang. We see them blow out. Now there is rain and wind blowing into the car.
Oh, what a high note, kiddo.
I love it so much. And then away from you 10 feet is there. All right. So Lieutenant gets blasted back and steadies himself against the couch here.
Yeah. Delilah will look at Rook. You're welcome.
Excellent. All right. So the other police, they're going to get to act. So this one over here is going to shoot his crossbow at Delilah.
Rude.
So he aims the light crossbow and fires. I got a 15.
Please don't.
Is a 15 enough to hit? It is. Okay. So you take
shoulder pads.
for your effort. You take 5 piercing damage. And then that's that one. These 2, let's see, is this one close enough to come up and attack Vic? Yeah. So this one hustles up here, abandoning cover.
And if that weren't enough, all of my Ann Taylor bags are just like thrown open.
Takes a swing at Vic. I get a crit. Welcome to the game, Vic. Thanks for coming. You only take 7 damage. Okay, I rolled bad.
Cool.
So maybe Vic, you're paying attention to Delilah, and then this other cop comes running up and slashes at you. You turn around in time to kind of avoid getting impaled, but he hits you. And then back
I had been holding at the stool, and then I open up my suit jacket, and there's like 2 little hooks for the stool to rest on. The middle of that.
That's
Plus
great.
all the luggage is like now thrown open from the thunder wave.
Oh my god.
Yeah. It's a mess. And then this guy's gonna move up here and take a shot with a crossbow. Also at Vic, because Vic is the closest target. Here we go. Pew. I get another crit. So cool.
No, I can't see your. I think you're lying.
Chat can see. Chat, tell Katie May I got 2 crits. This one does 13 damage.
I've been waiting for the bullying to transcend.
Roll 20 is in on it.
Yeah.
Roll 20 is in on that bullying.
Yeah. So you take another very painful hit from this other officer, and you are well on your way to unconsciousness. Thankfully, Vic, it is your turn.
Well, I had a whole turn planned, but I'm going to change it now because I have 7 hit points.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to cast invisibility. Whoops.
Yeah, good call.
No.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Okay.
And yep, so we're casting that.
Mm-hmm.
And the fun thing, I can't do anything or become non-invisible, so I'm going to spend my turn moving away.
Mm-hmm.
Which is It was a rough call for Vic to make because I also really wanted to start picking up the luggage.
Yeah.
But my livelihood is going to come first on this occasion and this occasion alone.
Okay.
I'm going to, where do I go to be safe? The answer
Yeah,
is
there's
nowhere.
There's a cabin right here, right? You could just go around the corner and close the door, but they'll see the door close.
Are you telling me I can just hide inside this cabin?
Yes,
right now?
yeah, it's a little passenger cabin. You could totally just duck in there.
Yeah, I do that. I do that.
Okay, all right.
Because also Vic is like a little bit of a slime person. So I'm just going to slime my way into the cabin and sort of shut
And just go around the corner. Okay, great. The only person that's in, like, even that could even notice this, and the only person that I think is aware of where you are at any given time, Delilah, you turn and maybe you see footsteps on the carpet. Right. And the carpet is like darkened with rainwater. So we see these like little footprints going around the corner into this room. Did you close the door?
No, but I do start crawling under the bed.
Perfect. So the footprints become footprints and knee prints and hand prints. And then you see them whoop under the bed.
Delilah isn't mad. Delilah's just disappointed.
Excellent.
Guess
All
how I
right.
feel about tackle time.
You know what? Fair.
So Rook,
Mhm.
it is your turn.
Okay. I'm gonna do another stealth check.
Yeah, so you wanna hide again?
I want to
Okay.
hide again.
Yeah.
And then I want to.
It's interesting from a genre perspective. Playing
Yeah.
a rogue is easier in a film noir setting because it's always so dark all the time, everywhere.
And I think in this moment he actually goes and he slides like completely flat, and it's like, time to get low on the floor, y'all, and goes underneath
What?
the couch.
Now, here's a
And,
question.
like-
So for Rook, do you
Yeah.
are you constructed in such a way that, like, do you move like a person? Like, do your like limbs bend backwards when you go
Yeah.
down to like limbo under the couch?
For sure.
Do your like knees bend funny and you just like flatten to the floor and just like scramble on your fingers? Like, how inhuman is Rook in this moment?
So I think Rook, because he is like a stealth agent, has always been designed to be able to slip in between spaces
Yeah.
to get in, especially for the war. Like he was running a lot of urban environments where you also
Oh,
have to like
cool.
get into spots. And so for him, it's really like any one of his joints can support his entire weight.
Really
like
quick.
So
They, them.
sorry, thank you.
Yep.
Any one of their points can support their entire weight. So at this point, they collapse down onto basically their ankles and are just like flat forward as they go underneath the couch and then around this one and cover.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Do they make hydraulic sounds like? "Pew"?
And this cop doesn't even notice you. You just kind of like appear over here. And then do you want to attack?
Yes, actually, can I, I want to wait actually, because can I use my action to do another bonus action?
You cannot. No.
Okay.
But a lot of
Then
stuff
actually-
a lot of stuff can be done. Like, what did you want to do? Tell me what you do, and then we'll talk about whether it's
Actually,
possible.
it wouldn't have helped. I was going to do eye for detail, but that just gives me, or not eye for detail, insightful fighting, but that gives me a sneak attack when I don't have stealth, and I have stealth. So I'll just attack this guy.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. So you have advantage.
Let's go.
So you slip over here. You get a 24, which is definitely a hit.
Cool. And then just rolled a short sword.
Yeah, just roll short sword damage. So it starts as 6. Now it's a sneak attack, so you should have that as another attack in your on your character sheet.
I do.
Yeah, so you can go ahead and click that, and then I'll do the extra damage. Piercing.
Oh, I think I needed to click it with what to make it active. With
Oh,
the
did
short
you?
sword.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's okay. You can do
I
it
can just
manually.
roll 2. Yeah, I
you
can
can just roll 2d6. That's fine. Nice. Okay.
Yes.
So same question that I posed to Bruno.
Yeah.
I mean, Rook, you were built to kill. Do you?
Um, no, because while these may be crooked cops, uh, they're still officers of the law, and
That's
so
right.
Rook wouldn't take a chance. They might have done something good at some way or some point, and also they're probably former colleagues.
Yeah.
And he's like,
right. You used to walk the same beat as these guys. You're on the opposite side of the law now, but yeah, that's great. Okay. All right. So
"Ooh, tell Darlene her pasta's still delicious, bud."
How would you know that without implying an extramarital affair?
yeah,
Hey,
the
hey.
pasta. I was about to say, Rook, Warforged can't eat. So is that a euphemism or?
I like to imagine that like the Rook just had like found like this pocketbook of like someone had lost of like cool phrases they could say. The Rook's just kind of like pulling them out like. And then just drawing them.
Rook shows off their private investigator license, and it's just a framed copy of Dick Tracy.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
right. Exactly. Brooke has a little booklet called "How to Talk Like a Cool Human."
Oh yeah, he's really learned. He spent a lot of time in the jazz scene, and he's trying, guys. They're trying.
God.
They're
Oh
really.
my god, do they have a musical instrument? Did I give you a musical instrument?
No,
proficiency? No,
I don't
should, though.
They're just a
Please
fan.
don't.
They do
Right,
not
okay.
have
They don't know how
any
to-
ability to. Yeah.
Daddy-o.
Oh my
Daddy.
God. I love the idea of Rook just hanging out in a jazz club. That's fantastic.
Yes.
Okay,
Smoking those jazz cigarettes.
cool. So you finished. You finished your turn here. You've knocked this cop unconscious. So
And then-
the lieutenant looks at Delilah like angry, right? Because he's like,
Yeah.
all right, they did this thing. I'm mad about that. But they see Bruno, and despite the fact that Bruno, you soundly defeated one of the other cops, this is one of those like transitive property things. So you're like, I'm tougher than them. I could probably be tougher than you. And so you see the cop take off his now ruined, thanks to Rook, like trench coat, and you can see his like the vest underneath, and he gives you that look. And you've seen this look. This is a thing that I think has happened to you as a champion prize fighter all the time. Every bar you've ever been in, there's a pretty good chance there's at least one guy who, after 6 or 7 whiskeys, is like, Bruno's not so tough. I've seen them fight. I could take him. And then they pick a fight with you in the bar to try to prove, like, yeah, I'm tough. I could take this guy. And it almost always ends the same way, I imagine. So that's the look you see pass over this captain, his face, as he strides forward to do what his officers could not. Let's see how it goes. I think you got the higher ground here, so I'll give you advantage on attacking him. But he doesn't have any disadvantage attacking you because he's just going to go after your legs. So here we go. Takes 2 swings. Here's the first one. And you have a +1 to your... It doesn't matter. I got a crit.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What? What? Adam.
I'm very good at Dungeons and Dragons. I've been playing a long time.
Mhm. Using loaded computers to roll.
This is not helping your, the show isn't scripted vibe.
So you take 8 slashing damage, which I don't imagine you feel most of. And then a second swing. Jesus.
Jeez Louise.
Adam?
I mean, it's a 1 in 20 chance. 4 times in a row.
Okay.
So you take another
Oh
12.
my gosh.
Yeah. So
All right.
was that 30 total, I think? Or let's
We're-
see, 4,
we're-
8, 11, 20.
I'm
Yeah.
resetting the
20
stream
damage.
key. I'm resetting the stream key after the show.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, maybe he's right. Maybe this is the time it doesn't go that way. You're not as young as you used to be, Bruno. So you take two quick hits. And how many hit points do you have now? 10? 13?
Yeah, sorry, hold on.
Oh no, it's okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious. All right. So you're still in fighting shape. It is your turn, and this guy has the smug look of someone who is assured of their own victory. Right? He's just like, see, you're not so tough.
I mean, at this point, there might be a thing in Bruno's mind that's like, I don't know, maybe you're right. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they're getting
That's
too
a good
old for
question.
this shit.
I mean, come to think of it. But so Bruno is going to just like raise up both fists and just like pound down on this lieutenant's head.
Yeah, his face is right there in punching range. Okay, so you have advantage on your attacks from having the higher ground on this guy. Nice. All right, you got 24.
Well, hold on.
Mhm.
That my knuckle duster is a +5. I got a 24, so that's a 19.
Yes.
I have improved critical.
Hell yeah, you do. So that's a crit. Yep. And I'm gonna make a note. I can actually automate that for you. So I will do that between episodes. I just forgot. So
Okay.
crit
Cool.
range. But yeah, roll your damage, and then we'll roll the damage again. Crit range. Bruno.
Nice.
Okay, so 7, and then roll.
Oh,
Nice.
snap!
Okay, all right.
Very good.
So it's crits are double the damage dice, and then you add the number. So it's 8, 9, 10, 11 total.
Turn his face into strawberry jam.
Yeah. What is that? So what does that look like? Like he's all smug and like, hey, I'm gonna get you. You have a moment
I think
of
it's
doubt.
like I think it's very much not like there's no like pomp and circumstance to it at all. It's like a slash. Like Bruno looks down at their like shins, which have just been like cut up,
yeah.
and then just like quick like pops one like right in the
right. It's very
Yeah.
mechanical. Just like bam. What, you want another one? Okay.
and then another one's gonna swing in. Yeah.
Okay.
Boom.
Okay. This one he blocks. Yeah, this one he's
Gotcha.
able to get out of the way. So the first one, he snaps his head back, blood starts pouring out of his nose. He's smart enough to duck under the second one. So that one comes in, you try to get him in a hook, and he ducks. Cool. Do you want to stay where you are? I mean, you got it's a pretty good position to fight this guy on. So.
Yeah, I'm staying right where I am.
Okay. All right. Delilah, it is your turn.
Why? Oh, man.
Get out of here.
Which one of these motherfuckers shot me? Actually, you know what? I've been very tired of this lieutenant type individual, and I kind of want to do something really mean to him, but I can't do that without also being mean to these delightful people who've been escorting me to safety. So I'm just gonna shoot him with my crossbow.
Mhm.
Okay.
How do I shoot things with my derringer?
Yeah, yeah. If you want to
that?
use your gun,
Yeah,
let's
Use my gurn.
take a look. Yeah, because like a
My
crossbow is
eldritch
fine, but you have a magic gun.
Yeah, I do.
So let's see. Okay, you when you create the cannon, you determine its appearance and whether it has legs. Your eldritch cannon is a force ballista. It's a ranged spell attack at any creature or object within 120 feet. On a hit, he takes 2d8 force damage and is pushed 5 feet away.
Okay.
Ranged spell attack is d20 plus 5.
Okay, d20 plus 5.
Yeah. And who are you attacking?
I'm gonna roll, or I'm gonna attack Doyle.
Yeah, the guy in charge. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay.
because he's kind of looking like a chump right now.
Mhm.
Hopefully I typed this in right. Bloop.
You did, and you hit
Nice.
just barely. You I think you hit him probably like in the shoulder. He's partly obscured by this.
Yeah.
The big hunk of furry meat that is Bruno. So you find your shot. What does it look like when your gun fires? It does force damage, so it's like a magic missile basically, but you can decide what it looks like and how the gun looks.
So this is what Delilah looks like right now. Very irritated. First of all, their assistant just went into the next room and hid under the bed. Good help. Hard to find these days. I'm just going to rifle through my luggage real quick. I know that I left a little, and then picks up this sort of like shiny barreled derringer. And it's like, oh, I was wondering where I put this. Hits a little knob on the back, like where you would go to cock the gun, and the little pwing crossbow comes out of the sides.
Is this like a noisy cricket situation?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then like swiftly turns like this, goes like around Bruno as Bruno is punneling this lieutenant, and then it's just like, that should be fine, and shoots and like narrowly grazes Bruno's leg into the lieutenant's thigh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then it gets blown back 5 feet and takes 2d8 damage. So
Which I like to imagine was them stumbling back.
Yeah, totally.
5 feet.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So go ahead and roll your 2d8 for damage.
I would love to. Thank you. 2d8. Boop.
Ooh.
Also, thank you so much, TK, for getting a Tom Jones song stuck in my head. Really
You're
appreciate
welcome.
that. I suppose I did name the character, so I deserve it, but I
Your
didn't do
fault.
it on purpose. Cool. Okay.
Sometimes the pain, the greatest pain is the pain we deal ourselves.
Yeah, especially by accident. This is the mental equivalent of hitting myself with a hammer by accident. So Bruno, your combatant, staggers back, struck by a bolt of magical force that could very easily have hit you, but didn't. So you're lucky.
I made that choice. You're welcome, Bruno.
No, thank you, I guess, or whatever.
Also,
Fantastic. All right. So the other two, this cop comes forward, looks around for Vic, realizes that Vic maybe jumped out the window or something, and then takes a step towards Delilah and makes an attack. I know, right? The nerve of some people.
I would like to shield as a reaction.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So what does that look like? Do you have like a brooch or like a ring or something? What does the form of your shield take?
I like to think that all of Delilah's gadgets are accessories, like very fashionable accessories. And so when this person attacks, it like erupts from a clutch that forms into a parasol, like
Cool.
a shield parasol.
I love it. Yeah. So you're like, so the thing I like about this class is that you can go as Inspector Gadget as you want with it, right? So every spell can be its own little weird piece of equipment. Yeah, that's great.
It's just like a hairpin in the back, like a jeweled hairpin, and then it just poof.
That's so
like
cool.
into a parasol.
So for folks who aren't familiar with the class, and for us, since this is the first time we're using it, the cannon, the first turn that you like prepare it, this turn, it's an action to like ready it. But now that it's ready, you can fire it as a bonus action, and it's not a spell. So now you can you can cast you could cast Cure Wounds and shoot your gun. You could cast another spell and fire it. It's a bonus 2d8 ranged attack anytime now that you've prepared it and charged it up.
In the future, I will remember that.
Yeah, well, and it's perfect because you didn't have it ready this turn, so you gotta spend that action. So we're good now. So yeah, the cop that approaches you takes a swing, and your magical shield deflects it. This one is gonna move up to here, and I think he's gonna shoot his crossbow at Bruno. Here we go. So we get a 6. He misses completely. Just the wind and the rain, he fires, and the crossbow bolt sails past you, Bruno. Now, Vic, you are invisible, hiding under the bed in the other room. You can hear and see some of what's going on, right? You've kind of got like a viewpoint
Yeah, I've got
out
a
here.
small line of sight.
Yeah, you can kind of see what's happening. What do you wanna do with your turn?
I see that, my dear liege. I'm like panicking under the bed. And I reach into my other and I pull out. It's like, you know, those. It's very like a stereotypical, like those tiny guns that in a lot of like noir stuff, like women would pull out of their purses. It's one of those. Very tiny. I'm like, my liege, and it's just like I imagine like a bed skirt, and like I'm just like
hiding under it, trembling,
gun.
And you're invisible.
yeah.
And I'm like, and I my hands are like shaking, and I fire off an eldritch blast at the person who's attacking, because I don't technically need line of sight, but I think I got it anyways.
Yeah, this guy for sure. Yeah.
So here we go.
Ooh.
Did it do it?
Nice. Yeah, 24.
Yay! It did it. Cool. For
Too bad Delilah didn't see it.
7 force damage.
Okay. Now, one thing, because again, we're all kind of getting used to the characters. So one thing you have an ability called Hex that you can use as a bonus action that puts a hex on someone and they take more damage. So
Okay, cool.
if you'd like, since you probably would have anyway, we can just say you did that first. you want to do that?
I was confused about the rules about doing hex and casting a spell in the same turn.
So hex is a bonus action, so you can cast it, and then you can cast another spell as long as it's a cantrip, which I believe Eldritch Blast is.
Oh, okay, cool. Because it's a cantrip. I forgot about the cantrip rule.
Okay, so this dude is, I know it's one of the most complicated, silliest rules in the game, where it's like, can you cast a spell? Yes, sometimes, kind of. Don't worry about it. Is reaction? I don't know. So roll another d6 for extra necrotic damage. And now I've been asking everyone else, if they want to deal non-lethal damage, but the thing is, you can't with magic. So you're not invisible anymore. You're still hidden because you're under a bed or whatever. And this guy is killed like relatively horribly, I imagine, because it's necrotic damage that kills him. So what does that look like when Vic hits this guy with the Eldritch Blast and he dies?
Through a millennium of rotting, but in a second, it's majestic.
So it's like the end of Indiana Jones and the Razor Lost Ark, right? Like he just melts.
I've never seen a piece of media in my whole life, but yes.
Okay, cool. Generally speaking, when we refer to movies or TV shows or music, it's not for Katie's benefit. Katie May has not seen anything, nothing.
I've seen that. Vic has never seen a piece of media in their life.
Keep it canon, Adam. Come on.
All right, so Vic, you blast this guy from relative safety, and Delilah,
the bed skirt, a thumbs up also comes with the.
Okay. Yeah. So Delilah, you see the person who was recently just attacking you bounce off your shield and then get hit in the back by a burst of eldritch energy and disintegrate. He tumbles over backwards.
Deserved.
Yeah, and you see
as they disintegrate, I would like for my shield to sort of like shield my luggage so that their disgusting poor dust doesn't get into my.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
I'm so sorry about that, my liege. I promise not a bit of your things will have dust on them when I am done with them.
Perhaps you should try to be more careful, Vic.
Yes, my liege.
I can see the fan fiction already. So, Rook, would you like to take your turn?
Yes. I would like to. Sorry, I was just looking over something. Weird. For whatever reason, Rook in my head translates to road, and I'm like,
so you don't hear. I just envisioned a big green loading bar. They're just like beep, 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 deciding.
Yeah.
Yes, I would like to take my turn. Thank you.
For sure. So, Rook, now, first off, I want to make an insightful fighting check.
Okay, so what does insightful fighting do? Tell us about that ability.
Let me put it into the chat so folks can see.
Okay. And then we can talk about it.
For sure.
First of all, it's dope.
At third level, you gain the ability to decipher an opponent's tactics and develop a counter to them. As a bonus action, you can make a wisdom check against a creature that you see that isn't incapacitated, contested by the target's charisma check. If you succeed, you can use your sneak attack against the target, even if you don't have advantage on the attack roll, but not if you have disadvantage on it. So if it lasts a minute or until you successfully use the feature against a different target.
That's cool. So most rogues have to use the environment, use their allies, like to create an opportunity, create a weakness to take advantage of. But in Inquisitive, you recognize the weaknesses within the person you are fighting, and so you don't need the situation necessarily. Okay, all right. So this is a bonus action. Make an insight check. I will make a deception check. Okay, and deception is charisma. Oh, there's no way I'm going to be able to. I mean, there is a way. I've been rolling really well. Yes, I got an 11. Didn't have advantage on that, so
very
good. You're good.
Cool. Okay. And I think what happens for Rook in this moment is as they look at Doyle, is their eyes sort of like circulate and coalesce and like finite examine every thing about Doyle's outfit and like their armor and just like remembers like their fighting time when they were well, let's make a roll first as I move to attack them and see how it goes. And then have advantage.
Okay.
21.
Yep. Yeah, you definitely hit. So you move up behind him. And again, all the big enemies are in front of him, right? Like he's lost track of you.
Right.
You come up behind him and attack him with your
And then,
weapon. How much damage do you deal?
Let's see. I do 10 damage.
Okay. And that's your weapon and your sneak attack?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for some reason your results haven't popped up on my screen yet.
Interesting. It says my connection to the server.
Oh yeah, that's probably what it is. Yeah, I got one of those messages too.
Yeah, me as well.
That's okay. All right. Okay, so you come up and you get him for 11, and he yelps in pain and surprise, turns around to see you there, and there's a moment you see on his face. You know, you're assessing him and his fighting style and all of this stuff, and then he looks at you and you see on his face this like surprise, like he didn't expect you. For some reason, he expected you to just like go quietly. Like this is a surprise and like kind of frustration on his face as much as it is pain from the attack. And I think that's your turn, right? Unless you have another ability that triggers off of an attack. I think you're good because it's bonus action.
No, that's it.
You got him. Okay, cool.
And so I got him.
So you'll retain that ability for another 9 turns
until I attack somebody else. And I think Rook just like looks at Doyle, and like voice modulates, and it's like target assessed.
Ooh, cool. Yeah. So this is like your protocols have changed, and and when you do that, he gets another familiar look, but this one is like fear, right? This is the kind of look that you saw coming back from the war. This is the look of even the people on your side who you know you're marching in this victory parade. People still looked at you like a weapon, and now that's what the lieutenant is looking at you like. Oh, okay, yep. And so he is going to respond to feeling threatened by attacking you.
Cool.
Okay, so let's get that going. So he makes a swing, scimitar, and gets a 21.
That'll hit.
Yep. So he hits you for 4 damage.
Mm-hmm.
And then a second swing, also a hit, for another 4.
Cool. I am at 3.
Okay. All right. Bruno, it's your turn.
Okay. I'm just gonna come up to the captain here and are we flanking?
So flanking is...
Oh, that's not in it. That's not a thing anymore.
So it's optional. I don't usually use it because there's already so many ways to get advantage. So you don't have to worry about it. You can just jump down and give him a punch. You'll lose your advantage from being up on higher ground, but
that's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine. I'm gonna do the punch.
Okay.
I rush up. That doesn't show up for you, does it?
No, you can just tell me. I'll have to reload. But
it's 12.
You got 12? Okay. All right. So he hears you coming and dodges out of the way as you take your first swing.
All right. I'm going again.
Okay.
19.
That is definitely a hit.
Okay. 19, and that's 6 bludgeoning.
6 bludgeoning? Okay. All right. 6 bludgeoning damage. This guy is on his last legs. You can see him. He's reeling.
Great action surge.
Yeah, there you go. His manager's in the corner being like, throw in the towel, you palooka. And then you just give him another. This is it, right? That last minute where you feel his weakness and you surge forward.
That's an 11.
All right. And so he's got a little bit of strength left in him. So he brings his arms up. You punch him in the arm. And it gives you, action surge gives you one more action, but not another bonus, right? So you just get the
well, I mean, it's hard to say because the action surge literally says like on top of your turn, you can take one additional action on top of your regular action and a possible bonus action. I don't know.
Okay. Yes. Then you get your second. Yeah, you'll get another swing.
Okay. Chat, be sure to tell me how cheating I am. And that's 19.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you hit.
And 19. Let's do for 4.
4 damage. Okay. All right. So same thing. You can hear it. You can just like in the back of your brain, you can just imagine like the crowd cheering for you. You can see this guy hitting the floor, but he's not ready to go down. You know you're going to win. He just hasn't realized it yet. You got to wait for him to catch up. Mm-hmm. So Delilah, You see this fracas going on over here. What would you like to do?
My Roll20 crashed.
You got dice kicking around? Because I still have access to your character sheet. I can just tell you
Okay,
what your bonuses are.
I think I
Yeah, that's okay.
Oh Jesus! I'll just bring
Oh,
up.
I have dice. I'll roll for you.
Yeah, please.
I can do
Roll
that
for
too.
you.
I've got an app on my phone.
This is
Pretty.
this is what a truly supportive role-playing game group looks like. When you don't have access to your character sheet, someone else can tell you about it, and someone else can roll for
I
you.
appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
look at
I am
That's
modding the
beautiful.
chat right now. I'm just gonna. Could you jump to my spells real quick?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
No, I already knew what I wanted to do.
Yeah, what do you
I'd like to cast Cure Wounds on the book, and I think the way that Delilah would say it is she's like, "Are you quite finished? We have things to do," and she would just they would just I think they have like a breath freshener.
I was wondering, like a perfume mister or
like a little banaka or something like that. It's just like, could you please, you're making a fool of me.
Ooh.
And cast a Cure Wounds on can I do that on a Warforged?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Cure
I'm
Wounds
just
is
making
magic.
sure they're not
Yep.
I'm just making sure they're not technically constructs.
Right. No.
Okay, then I'm gonna cast Cure Wounds and then make a pew pew with my Derringer again.
Okay.
Is the lieutenant still up?
Yes.
Then I'm gonna pew pew the lieutenant.
Okay, so you got 11 healing. And who is that on?
Oh, heck yeah.
Nice.
Rook, right?
Yeah, that's yeah, right, because you're asking about making. Okay.
So
yep.
now I'm at 14.
I'm fine.
Thank you.
Oh snap! I'm back.
Okay, good.
Me too. I'm also back in. So this is awesome.
I'm back, but I can't see any tokens.
I got
so-
very excited.
Scroll. That's the answer.
Yes, yeah, it's up. Sorry, it's up at the top of the.
Yeah.
Top
And we're in the middle. We're like the
Yeah.
middle car. Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
I was very excited.
So that was
Thank
your
you,
action.
everyone.
That was your action, Delilah. Now remember, your gun, your range spell attack is still
It's
a bonus action,
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pew pew the lieutenant. RD20 plus 5.
Yeah, and I'll make you a macro for this for next time. What'd you get?
I got an 8.
Okay, you miss. Yeah.
I should have lied.
So you fire. Let's look at the angle of fire here. So you fire at him. You hit the wall back here behind him, and just chunks of wood and like paint fly out into the air as this cop ducks, and then returns fire.
You're gonna hear like a lot of sounds of frustration from Delilah. I would like to drop down beside the couch.
Yeah,
Can
take
I get
cover.
like a partial cover for that?
Yeah, you can do it as part of your
Just
move.
like do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so he
Usually my assistant provides my action
My
music.
harmonica's in my suit jacket. Let me find it.
Oh, I can play you a tune, kiddo.
Thank you. Finally, some help.
I imagine when Rook is in like jukebox mode, your eyes become little waveforms.
Oh my gosh,
Your
I
cool
love it.
Winamp plug-in.
Uh,
All right,
Yes.
so
Does Rook come in lo-fi?
Yeah.
hasn't come to Eberron yet.
So this guy is gonna take a shot at Delilah as he moves for cover. So let's do that. Delilah, you get a crossbow shot at you. I got a 11, so no dice. Thunk sticks into the couch next to you. All right, Vic, formerly invisible Vic. What do you want to do?
I'm still under the bed.
Yes.
I found a piece of gum. I'm chewing it.
No.
Terrifying.
So I'm just going to do an Eldritch Blast again, methinks. Oh, and my character sheet won't load. I was a dummy and exited out. I lost it forever. Where are my dice?
All right. So what are you gonna cast? What are you doing?
I'm gonna Eldritch Blast this other. Actually, I'm gonna go for the. Yeah, I'll go for the one who was shooting at Delilah. That's true to my heart.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna roll fancy dice. Here we go. That is a 16.
Okay.
I don't know what my additions are.
Eldritch Blast is a ranged spell attack, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah, and you can move the hex, I think, to this guy too.
Transfer the hex over.
And this is to the lieutenant?
No, the not lieutenant. The
Right,
one who
the other goon. Right.
My dear Delilah.
You're attacking people laterally rather than up. Okay. Yeah. All right. So this one's hexed. You get a 16. Even just a 16 on the die is enough to hit, so you don't even have to worry about the bonus.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so the damage is a D10.
Let's take a look here.
And then necrotic was 1d6, I think. But if you'll check my work, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, for sure. Eldritch Blast. It is yes, yeah, it's a D10 force damage and a D6 necrotic damage.
Cool. I can take pictures of this stuff. So that's 4 force damage from the Eldritch Blast, and then 5 damage from the necrotic.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I get any additions on my Eldritch Blast. I'm trying to
No, it's just a D10. It'll go up at different levels, but right now it's just D10. Okay. All right.
Then that's damage.
Cool. All right. So yeah, this guy staggers back, hit by the attack, drained of his life force. He's just barely hanging on. And behind him, the broken window rattles and rain and wind are blowing through as the train continues to tear north. So Rook, there are two combatants left. There's this very badly pummeled lieutenant, and then over here there is a cop who is seemingly being drained to death from something malevolent in this other room.
So I still have the insightful fighting on.
That's right. Yeah,
the lieutenant. So I think Rook is just going to attack them, and
okay.
So I rolled in D20, and I swear to you, first one was a 14 with advantage. It was a 25.
Nice.
Like crit on this.
Okay.
So that would be 9 plus 6. So
Excellent.
16. Yeah.
Okay. That was 13 more, 12 more damage than this person needed.
Cool.
So same question for this guy. Knockout or murder?
I think it's incapacitate, but like it's ends up being like pretty bad. Like it's like it's someone needs to look after him, but he'll maybe stabilize. And I think Rook, in the process of like doing it, comes out and goes, Doyle, you know you need to get out of the game, bud. This should be your last real game. You know what? Forget it. I'm guys, come on. Let's roll.
All right. So he is out, ending your inquisitive bonus because there's no more target. He doesn't get a turn because he's unconscious. So Bruno, there are bodies laid out in front of you. You guys kind of got kill stealed by Rook here, but there is one bandit remaining, one cop standing over here by the window.
All right. Well, I want to go to there. And it's just this one.
Yeah. Now I will say this: you could, if you want to, you could use your fists and punch him and knock him out, or he's standing in front of an open window. You could just shove him out the window. That's also an option.
Is there any reason why we would need information from this person?
Nah, we'll just get it from the lieutenant, right? Because we got the lieutenant.
Yeah, you got a bunch of like unconscious cops.
Kill the henchman.
Get rid of him.
All right.
Hold
on. Hey, hold on.
All right.
And
Frankie's only learning the flute.
I'm gonna clench the fist and like lift up, and then pick up the bandit with my other arm.
Grab him. Yeah.
And I'm gonna go. All right. So and then just throw him out the window.
So listen, we gotta and like push him. Okay, make an athletics check.
Can do.
Excellent. At least
No
someone
problem for
around
Bruno
here
with
knows
that.
how to get work done.
19.
Cool.
Wow.
Dear. All right. Cool. I got a 7. So the thing is, you're going so fast that you shove him, and you don't even get to see the look on his face that's like, oh no, I've been shoved out the window of a moving train, before he just disappears. Like, just vanishes. He's gone.
And then Bruno turns to Delilah and is like, okay, no, are you happy? Like, is that fine? Is that what you wanted?
Perfect, Bruno. Thank you so much. You've been such a big help. Would you mind helping me pack my bags again?
I do. I would.
I'm
I would
already on
definitely mind.
I'm already doing it. Please.
So here's the thing. So as this last officer disappears out the window, and as Vic kind of crawls out from under the desk, you all turn kind of to each other. The train continues to hum along as if nothing had ever happened, right? This old engine's seen 100 fights like this one. There's blood stains on the carpet on top of old blood stains. And you wonder for a moment how much like this train you are, living this life of violence, laid one over another, barreling ahead at full speed into unknown territory, the choices you made along the way as meaningless as the cold steel rails below you. Before you have a chance to regret those choices, the door to the next car opens. So this, hey, there's everybody's rolls. This door over here opens. You hear it like slide open. And emerging into the shadows, you see the commissioner. So the commissioner strides in, his face a mask of barely contained rage. Well, looks like this is the end of the line. I'm sorry it came to this, kid. I had high hopes, but you just had to stick your nose in where it didn't belong. This train's gonna pull into Rote, and you're not gonna be on it. End of the line. And you see him reach for his service weapon, grim determination stranded on his features, the sole survivor of whatever emotional war this scarred man has been through. He cocks the hammer, and we cut to darkness. So when we cut to this black screen, right, we see him reach for the gun. The commissioner stares you down. He's come here personally. We cut to darkness, and we hear the sound of rain, and not the like tearing, frantic sound of rain from the train, but a quieter kind of background, the sound of rain hitting a window. We hear smooth jazz playing in the background, and a title card comes up that says, earlier, Sharn, City of Towers. The video fades in, right? So we fade in on a door, right? In a ratty, kind of shadowy hallway, fade in a door, and the door has one of those frosted glass windows in it. And painted in peeling black and gold on the window are the words Rook Slade, Private Investigator. So I'm gonna have you describe we're jumping back. So describe your office, right? Describe the office of Rook Slade, PI. Tell us what we see. The door opens and we come inside.
So you come in, you see a pretty ratty 3-seater couch to one side, some filing cabinets around it that are organized but are just bad. Like they're just like really like not well taken care of. The desk itself on the front is like neatly put in place. There's like files that are all present and accounted for in folders, but the actual quality of everything, this is all very, very low quality stuff that Rook is doing the best to like utilize. You see on the wall a few photos, one of him particularly from his like troop from the Warforged days along the back.
Like an old war, like a war photo of,
just like
of them and a bunch of other Warforged standing around. Like, yeah, these are, I think that's like a classic like detective office like memory, right? Like a painful memory of your time in the war. And it's like, here's all my buddies. And if anybody asks, you're like, they're all dead now. Yeah, I love it. That's great.
That's 1164. That's 1165. Oh, don't even get me started on 1167. Yeah. And then we just kind of see off to one side in the room is Rook's bed, and it's just like a simple bed and a nightstand with, really the only thing that is nice here is his record player, is their record
Oh
player.
yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And so is that the source of the smooth jazz that we heard in the
absolutely.
Nice. Okay.
And you just hear the Eberron equivalent of Unforgettable by Nat King Cole just like playing on repeat, and it's rainy. He doesn't smoke, but there's a lit cigarette there. Like they don't smoke, but there's a lit cigarette in their ashtray.
Well, and
just
so
burning.
hold on. So that's a great question. So when we pan down, there's this incongruity of like, wait a second, they don't have a mouth. Well, they can't. I have no mouth yet. I must smoke. We pan down to the lit cigarette. Does the cigarette A have lipstick on it, and B, Delilah, does it belong to you?
Delilah prefers to smoke out of a
Oh, you have a cigarette
holder.
Of course.
So unfortunately,
maybe
the
that
cigarette is
that could be the
not
actual
theirs.
move. Is the cigarettes being ashed into the ashtray?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
and
like
it
that.
pulls back. Yeah.
Delilah is looking around and prefers not to sit on any of this furniture. Is that what you're calling it?
Kiddo, it's been a while. It probably still seems nicer than that prison cell you had.
Don't be cute. It doesn't suit you.
So,
why are you here? Yeah.
I would say, so Vic, how do you want to make a hide? You want to take the hide action, or are you like out in force? Do you look we know because we're playing a role-playing game and people know that it's the same character, but do we see somebody different with Delilah than we saw on the train, or is it the same? Are you wearing the same mask?
Yes, that was my getaway body. I have a different thing going on now.
Man, as soon as the spring starts, everybody starts going to the gym, working on that get away from the cops body.
It's my getaway look. Because I think that was my look as normal as possible look. This is now like look very, very like cool to be seen with Delilah look. And I don't know what that would look like, probably because I know Vic probably did an extensive study of like all of Delilah's family and like pieced together like the perfect like look to be seen with Delilah, but I'm not sure what that would look like. I want to ask TK, what would that?
Yeah,
it's such a great question too, because it's like, because and I think this comes up for Vic a lot. It's not what does Vic think the coolest kind of person is. It's what does Vic think that Delilah would think the coolest kind of person is for that situation.
For right now, Delilah is all business. So Delilah is wearing a suit with thin pinstripes. It's not quite black. It's a little bit off color indigo, with a subtle sheen in the stripes. And they wear like a small, a feathered, what do you call it? A fascinator with a little bit of netting.
I was about to say,
face.
Delilah definitely has that. Yeah. I love it.
100%.
Yeah.
And of course, the smart bob with that very sharp line. They would expect Vic to follow suit as their assistant.
Yeah, that I'm full Anne Hathaway and Devil Wears Prada right now. That's
and of course, everything like on top of the suit and everything, Delilah has shrugged out of another fur stole and is handing it off to Vic to hold.
Yeah.
I'm holding it and I've pulled the stool out. I'm pulling the stool out.
Delilah doesn't even look down when they sit. They know the stool will be there.
Right.
I'd die if it wasn't there. Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes, you would.
So Delilah and Vic, did you come to Rook's office straight from the train station? Was it like prison, train station, Rook's office, or do you have like a room in a seedy hotel somewhere that you're using the last of Vic's money to pay for?
Obviously, I had to stop and change. I couldn't be seen wearing those drab colors, but my favorite detective has fallen from grace. Of course, I had to see them in person.
Well, speaking of falls from grace, Bruno, were you here with Rook already when Delilah to Kenneth came back from prison? Like, were the two of you talking already, or do you show up later?
I think I would like. I've heard Delilah's in town, like is back. I think I'm hesitant to see them.
Yeah.
Because we were so close a long time ago that it's like one of those like, oh no. But at a moment, I think it's just one of those like, it's raining outside. All of a sudden, like the door like bursts open,
Nice.
like covered in. It's like Great Gatsby when Leonardo DiCaprio comes in and is like completely soaking wet.
Yeah.
And just is like, oh hey.
Yeah. I think Delilah almost stands up off of the stool, but then just crosses one leg over the other.
Devastating.
So everybody but Delilah would know this. The word has gotten out, right? That Delilah DeCanneth is like out of jail, and things in this neighborhood, things on Night Street are gonna get complicated soon. Delilah was a big deal before, and when they went away to jail, the Night Street gang basically took over the territory. And if they're coming back, if Delilah's not back from prison, things are going to change around here. And everybody is kind of angling for their own kind of piece of this pie. But right now, everybody on Team Delilah is standing in this room. Right. No one else is. Vic was the only one that came to meet you at the station. None of your family members have reached out. This is what you got to get things back in order, Delilah. And so looking around the room, you see Rook, you see Bruno. Vic is best unseen and unheard, but you know that they're there. And so there is this kind of moment as the record on the player, I think, skips at the end of the track, right? We hear it like pop, and then makes that kind of vinyl crackling sound that mixes with the rain outside.
So this is it.
This is it, kiddo.
It's good to see you again.
Likewise, Bruno. I heard you caused quite the upset.
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna throw a fight. You know me.
Bruno, baby. Another bash on the mind?
I'm sorry, what?
You say me, Rook?
I think all three of us look at Rook like...
Bruno, baby. What? Another bash? Sorry. And you just hear like in the back, like reprocessing.
You're right. Adjusting humanity protocols. It's like every episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation where Data tried to be a person. Like,
yeah,
they're like, yep, let's try this.
Rook's processor starts going through like the Urban Dictionary of Eberron. It's just like, what does this?
Bruno. So far from the Shark Street gang. What brings you into this little cat's office?
I heard Delilah was going to be around. We're old friends. I don't know. Excuse the smell of wet dog. I was out in the rain.
You're excused, dear, of course. Mm-hmm. And I shouldn't say we're that old friends. And they take a long drag of their cigarette and sort of like put up an arched eyebrow. It's just like this is the
Bruno
moment
will
for
follow
a
suit with the arched eyebrow.
This is the moment for a compliment on how they look, and Bruno is quickly missing it. The window is closing.
I'm very well. It can't be I'm not that old, so like it's I don't know. Like it's bad. You look good for someone who just got out of prison. And in general, you look good. You just look good.
Delilah will switch the legs that they have crossed and turn their back to Bruno.
Rook is
I'm up on it. I'm brutal.
Putting a new record on that hopefully eases some of the tension, but can't find the right one.
Hold on, everybody in this room is trusting? Like, who's this? And Bruno is going to point to Vic because I don't know that Bruno has seen Vic.
Yeah, like again, this is one of these things where everybody knows about Vic the Mirror, but if you've met Vic or not, you might not ever know it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
I'm Stacy. I'm one of
I'm one of Delilah's new assistants.
I'm gonna totally use decipher. What is it? For deceit. Whatever. Yeah.
Reasonable. Totally reasonable. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So make a deception check there, Vic.
Oh yes, that's
You got to beat a 25.
Yeah. Beautiful.
okay.
Oh my lord.
I can do it if I roll high. Let's go.
So
snap.
here's the two things that you learn, Rook. You learn that Stacy is lying about that. Yeah. But also, Stacy is incredibly good at lying, right? Huh. You would have to be some kind of lie detecting machine to be able to tell that wasn't the truth.
Right.
Yeah. You would have to be as good as Rook Slade.
That's right.
And then we just put the book As Good as Rook Slade back onto the bookshelf.
And so I'd be like, don't be a jive turkey. Tell us your real name, Cat.
Excuse me?
What
is a jive turkey?
I think what they're saying is you're being whack and you need to tell us what your real name is, because apparently, I mean, I trust Rook here more than I trust anybody in the room to know exactly who's telling the truth and who's not. So I guess you're not.
All right, fine. My little ruse has been wrapped up. All right, and then I changed back into my sort of like normal, like gray.
In your changeling form.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's Bruno. That's when you realize like who it is, right? That this is indeed Vic the Mirror, Toady to the stars. Vic. There's no story of Vic alone. Nobody ever tells a story about Vic, but Vic is a background character in like just about every weird mob tale that's happened. Vic's worked for every major and minor mob boss in this neighborhood. Basically come and go. So.
And at that point, I start like unashamedly. I head over to one of Rook's filing cabinets, open it up, and just start like, "What can I look at today?"
Nope. Nope. Sorry. Nope.
What?
Nope.
It just popped right open. It was like almost.
Nope.
I'm sorry. I thought we were all trustworthy here. Do you have something to hide from me?
Question is, what do you want to know from me? I got to protect my other clients. And you see, like, as you pull open a filing cabinet, there are no files.
Oh, a little moth, flutters out.
I just quietly shut it and I give Delilah a look like, ouch.
I would like to interpret this look of shared, like, secret sharing, like, this person is poor.
Yes.
I imagine this person is poor look has gone between us several times. So
yeah. So as the group of you are kind of like making this like early introduction, this small talk, this getting reacquainted, Delilah's back from prison. You're talking about your sort of mutual enemy. We pan across the room to there's a like a faded poster. Maybe it's out in the hall. There's this old faded poster. There's a bunch of posters in the hall. A lot of them are for like Miracle Cream or like whiskey or whatever, like old timey posters advertising stuff. But there's this faded, wrinkled poster, and on it, it's very clearly like a fight poster. It's got a picture of a much younger Bruno on one side, and on the other side, it has like a shadowy figure, and it says like surprise bout on it. Championship belt. And it's like talking about all this stuff on the poster. And as we see it, we crossfade to another hallway somewhere. This hallway appears to be underground, maybe because there's no windows, and it's like brick walls. And we see somebody walking quite quickly down the hallway. It's a human. He's wearing a trench coat. He's just come out of the rain, and he's got a bundle under his arm, like a valise under his arm. And so he's walking quickly down this hallway, and he comes into the hall, and he stops. And at the end of the hall, there's a door, and we just see the door. We can't tell why he stopped, but we pan down, and at about waist level, we see a man wearing a pinstripe suit, no shoes. But this really nice pinstripe suit, no shoes. He's got curly hair. He has a hat on, like a fedora on the back of his head, and he has a like a baton, a club, basically, sitting across his knees, sitting on a stool, and he looks up And the man in the rain, he says, "Is he in?" And the halfling on the seat, he's like, "Yeah, you got an appointment?" And the human shakes his head. He says, "No, but I have information, important information." And the halfling on this, he's like, "The baby don't take meetings with just anybody." And he's like, but Mr. Myson's gonna want to see this. And the halfling rolls his eyes and he's like, "All right." He gets up, he opens the door, and the human like doesn't really push past him, but he's like, "I'm in a big hurry." So he kind of gets past the guy and he comes in, and he comes up, and we see this office. And in a lot of ways, it's like the opposite of Rook's office. It is like plush. The furniture all looks like new. It has this slightly like kind of greasy quality of all the wood is like very over polished. And there's a big desk, and behind it a big chair, and of course the chair has its back to us, right? We see the back of the chair, and on the desk there is an ashtray, and there's like some smoke coming out of it. And as this guy comes in, we hear the door click shut behind him, and the desk turns around, or the chair turns around, and sitting in the chair I guess the chair would have been specially constructed, but we see a tiny man. And he's not in his uniform, but he's like Bruno. It's clear this guy's been in a lot of fights, right? His nose has been broken and reset 100 times. He's like a tiny bruiser, but he's dressed really nicely. He's got a suit. He doesn't have a hat on. He's a little older. He's got a mustache. We see him turn around. He's got a big cigar in his mouth. And he looks up and he says, "Snake, it's good to see you again. Do you have the information I requested?" He chomps the cigar, and Snake nods. He's like, "Of course, Mr. Myson, I have it right here. All the documents you were looking for." And he puts it down, and we see on the cover of the leather folder that he has, we see the sigil of House Decaneth. And our halfling mob boss looks up and he nods. And he takes a long drag off the cigar. He's like, "You did good, Snake. You did good. Delilah's back in town, but we're going to have some surprises for her." Now get out of my face. And Snake, holding his hat, is like, yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Myson, of course, sir." And he leaves. And we linger for a moment before the end of the episode on Tyke the baby Myson starting to unwrap. Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm really mad that it took me this long to realize that it is Mike Tyson.
Yeah, but it's backwards. So he's Tyke the baby because he's a halfling. And it's
you also know there's a very prominent rapper right now called Da Baby right now, right? Okay, good.
Yeah.
And so the last
someone call
the last
Carlos
shot,
right now.
The last shot is him tapping ash into the ashtray, looking over this portfolio. And as he opens it, we see blueprints of what looks like a factory, and then a picture, a little like a sepia picture of a young woman and two older figures. And it's clear just at a glance that this is a picture of Delilah and their parents, young kid, and they're the parents. We see them in this photograph. And the last thing we hear as the shot fades to black is just the chuckling of this halfling gangster. He's like, and we fade out. And that's it. That's the end of the episode. So for the next episode, I'm going to leave it kind of up to you. I have some ideas, but the main plan here is like you all have your own reasons for going after the Night Street gang. So you can talk in between episodes if you want as a group, or you can just go into this at the beginning of the next one. But I'll leave it up to you how you want to strike back and help Delilah get their turf back. But between now and then, everybody here does cool stuff on the internet, and you probably want to check that out. So I'm going to let them let you know where you can do that. Let's start over here with TK. TK, thank you for giving Delilah DeCanneth so much sass. That lipstick thing was primo.
Yes.
I'm
cool. Very excited. Yeah, I've been watching a lot of stuff with like Helen Mirren in it. A lot of stuff with Glenn Close.
Somebody at the very beginning when you were describing your character said that they were envisioning a remake of Lord of War, but instead of Nick Cage, it was Helen Mirren. Yeah, so good.
100%. Like, I think Katie May and I were talking like how boss would it be to play Martha Stewart fresh out of prison in a Dungeons and Dragons campaign.
It's beautiful. I love it.
It was great.
Living the dream.
Pure poetry. I'm TK. I write spooky stories on the internet. You can read those spooky stories at tkjwrites.com, or you can follow me on Twitter. TK joins the fray. I'm pretty much just doing this right now in between seasons for my other things and between stories for some other things, but I've got some very exciting stuff coming up in 2020. So let's see whether or not I ruin my own life.
Cool.
It's perfect.
Cool. Neat, tight.
Down below, playing Rook Slade today. It's Masood. Thank you for that excellent awkward robot being cool voice. I love
had to
Rook.
find it, and I'm very happy that it's there. Hey, my name is Masood. You can find me on the internet at Marudeboy, MHRUDEBOI, on Twitter and Instagram. I'm going to tell you what I've been telling everyone. Please follow me on Twitter. I will not follow you back. But I'm really trying to keep that number at 0 forever. And so let's make this egg thing really pop. You can, otherwise you can just keep up with me on my Instagram with stuff that I'm up to, comedy shows that I'm doing in Chicago, and more importantly, my cat.
It's a very good cat.
Yeah.
Oh, Azula, so good. Thanks, Masood. Next up, down in this corner, William, thank you so much for joining us. It's so fun to have you here.
Yeah.
This is great. I love Bruno already. Like the first time they spoke, I was like, oh, it's perfect. This is so good.
Wonderful.
So I'm super excited to see the next 2 episodes. Thank you for joining us. For folks who are as yet unfamiliar, where can they find you doing your thing?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at kwilliamwhite. And I do a lot of tabletop streaming and production stuff with Q Times. That their YouTube channel and their Twitch channel is just Q Times, which is QUEUETIMES, like you're waiting in a queue, like a Q Times. But I do a bunch of work with them. I have a Kids on Bikes tabletop live stream called Hijinks and Handlebars. That's been running for a little over a year right now. We're in our 2nd season. It's really great. It's much like how I suppose you run your games. It's very I don't dip into any like racism or like homophobia, transphobia, that kind of stuff. There's a lot of other conflict that we can get into without having to like drudge up the trauma of the way that we all are living right now anyway. So I do enjoy and appreciate media that does dip into those things and does that very respectfully and very well. I wanted to tell different stories, so that's what I'm doing. So that's that. I'm currently on a Monster of the Week campaign that is in its final arc. There are 4 previous arcs for it, and that's really awesome. My friend Sam Richardson does that show, GMs that, and it's like incredible. And Sam is maybe the perfect GM to be running a Monster of the Week campaign.
That's so cool.
It's like really awesome.
It's so great when that happens, right? Where you see a GM and a game like click and you're like, oh, this is it. This is the game for you. Like this is your thing. I love watching that happen. I'm looking at the poster for Monster of the Week Vacation right now. It's adorable.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, that artist is incredible.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And then the last 2 things I'm going to say is we're my band Glass Beach signed with Run for Cover Records. That got announced today. And we there's an article about us on Stereo Gum, and that has the music video that we just released today. I directed that with the other my other bandmate Jay. They and I directed that together, and it's really awesome. We're very happy with like how it turned out. We edited it and put everything together too, so that's super awesome. Check that out. And then along those same lines, I'm so sorry, but we're in the last 2 days of a Kickstarter with Mike Bachman.
Cool. Yeah, get that out there.
Mike Bachman from the Greetings Adventurers, previously Drunks and Dragons podcast. Yeah, we are. Glass Beach is doing an album with Mike Bachman and
Very dope.
of like nerdcore music, like about tabletop stuff. And
Oh, that's so fun.
yeah, and we're trying to kickstart that. Part of the goal money for that is actually also to help Glass Beach tour next summer, like this upcoming summer, I should say. And so if there are any Glass Beach fans and they want us to tour, that's a good way to do that. And if there are any fans of tabletop or Greetings Adventures or D&D and that kind of thing, then check out that Kickstarter. It's called Roll for Streetwise. You can go to rollforstreetwise.com and that will bring you right to the Kickstarter page.
Yes, that's cool. That's awesome. I've never heard of a Kickstarter like funding a tour before, but that's great.
Yeah.
Come to Vancouver or at least Seattle. I'll meet you in Seattle. Come that far.
Early 2020, we're going to Seattle.
Yes. Cool. I will come to that. How people ask all the time, like, oh, is it cool like playing role-playing games on the internet and like making that your job and like, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, all that's fine, but like I get to hang out with cool people. That's the best part. Like all of you are so awesome. Katie, take it home. Do the thing. Tell us about you.
Hi. Yeah, I'll do that. I'm Katie May. You can find me at Twitter at OKKatieMay. If you want to listen to me DM, you can listen to Dungeons, Dice, and Everything Nice. It tells the story of the planes. All of the planes were separated over 1,000 years ago, and now some ex-employees of a butcher shop are deciding whether or not to reunite them. So if that sounds fun to you, you can head out to dungeonsdice.com to check that out, or Dungeons Dice on Twitter. But besides that, that's all I got going for the rest of 2020, baby. It's vacation time.
Nice. That sounds great. Cool. Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you, Katie May. Well, thanks for coming, everybody. This has been episode number 1 of Gateway to Perdition. We have 2 more. They're going to be on the same time, same day, same week. So we'll see you next week for more of that action. We'll continue to explore Eberron, get ourselves into some trouble, and maybe punch some more cops. I don't know. We'll see. Thanks for coming, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.